What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Big Guilty Cigar Podcast. Today, I have a special guest in the building from Cuevas Cigars. I have Luis and Denise Cuevas down in Miami, Florida. And without further ado, I'll let Luis do a little introduction for himself and his brand. I am smoking the Casa Cuevas Flaco Special Edition from 2009. Well, sorry, 2009, 2021. Sorry,
2021. Absolutely.
2021.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you folks. And if you have not smoked our cigars, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a family-based business, very, very much with my son. It's 5 generations. We're passionate about what we do. Great grandfather started it. Grandpops picked it up. My dad, and I was lucky enough to be involved as well. And now Alec is part of it as well. Listen, there's a lot of good cigars out there. I'm not taking anything away from those folks, but we do our very, very best to give you the best product and the best customer service in the industry. And all we aim for is to be part of a humidor. Give us a shot. Don't be the only thing you smoke as us, but make us part of your repertoire. Make us part of your humidor. Give us an opportunity to be a part of your enjoyment as a cigar smoker. That's all I ask for. I'm not going to argue that we have the best cigars in the world, but I darn guarantee you they're as good as any others out there. So Here we are. So it's a pleasure to be with you folks. Thank you.
So actually, you spoke about 5 generations. So did you, so, what the first thing I wanted to ask was, were you born here or were you born over in Cuba or just in Miami?
I was born in Cuba.
Okay.
I left when I was 4, right?
Okay.
So we went from Cuba to Spain. We were in Spain almost a year.
Okay.
In Madrid. And then when I was 5, I turned 5 in Spain. We came to the States. I've never been back to Cuba. I don't remember it. Political reasons, no one in my family has ever gone back. And it's a pretty extensive family. It's 10 brothers and sisters on my dad's side. My mom has a sister. So all told, it's 20 something cousins.
Wow.
It's a lot of people, and no one has ever gone back. And I'm going to be 57 in about 2 weeks. Everybody's about my age. None of us have ever gone back. And until things change politically over there, I don't begrudge anyone who's gone. Don't get me wrong. I've heard great things about it. I just don't go for those reasons.
Yep.
And
very understandable.
It is what it is. But yeah, I was born there.
So did you ever see your grandfather roll cigars?
No, I met my grandfather when I was a young man, and he came to the States. Died here in Miami. Never at that point involved in cigars. As a matter of fact, he wouldn't really talk about the industry itself. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there was a bad taste in his mouth when things were confiscated. And I don't know if people understand this or not, but imagine you have your homestead, you have your job, if you're a business owner, whatever it may be, and then the government showing up and saying, this is mine. And there's no compensation. It's just mine.
Wow.
And I think that really left a bad taste in his mouth. So he never talked about it. My dad, on occasion, will open up and talk about what it was like. And it was a beautiful, beautiful industry. But unfortunately, those things happened. And by the way, there's a silver lining there, right? The blessing is we wound up leaving because of that. And we wound up being in the greatest country in the world because of that. So, hey, you got to balance those things out.
Exactly. So growing up around tobacco, originally Casa Cuevas wasn't originally. What did you do before before you went and said, I'm gonna go head first into the cigar industry?
Oh my gosh. Well, my dad in '83 had a separate business. He had an HVAC business, and he and his business partner dissolved it. His business partner retired. He's like a second dad to me, by the way. And that was it. So my dad goes 100% to the Dominican Republic. In the interim, I had been a teacher. Then I had been a school administrator. Then I got a law degree. I mean, I did a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And in 2006, I want to say 2009. My dad decides, because his brother had dropped out of the industry completely, to come back to the States. And I'm an only child. I visited with him. I've told the story time and again. And I said, hey, Pops, I think we should give this a go. It's a shame to let it go. I've been around tobacco. When I was in high school, I would spend my summers in the Dominican Republic at the factory. So I've been around it since the 80s. I go, let's give this a go. And yes, I had different career paths, but I mean, my gosh, it's a phenomenal industry. So I jumped into it with him, and then here we are so many years later. And the brand was launched late. The factory's still going strong, manufacturing for other companies, but the brand was launched late because I didn't know how to do it. I'm still figuring that out. It's really tough to have a brand. Cigar shops will tell you, and they're right. I don't have any room. Why do I need you? No one's ever heard of you, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So to make it happen has been a challenge, but it's been a fun ride, and I get to meet people like you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's true. And Matt Hashimoto, if he's out there, and
yep.
It's such a cool thing to do that I made the right decision in jumping over into doing this. Again, the factory's still going. We're still manufacturing, but we're nurturing our baby over here as a brand. And little by little, the idea is to hopefully have people enjoy our cigars and make them part, as I said earlier, of their repertoire. Hopefully, they'll make it part of their humidor.
Exactly.
Their go-to on occasion, right? Part of their circulation, so to speak. Well, that's the idea.
I think the best thing about your cigar is the price point is great.
Thank you.
It's a great price point where it's not gonna be some new cigar that's gonna charge you $15 for a stick. I agree. It's very affordable.
I agree.
And I think, and for me at least, that's the difference from me buying one cigar or saying, okay, well, you know what? Instead of this one cigar, I can get two cigars for $9-10.
Yeah.
So that to me makes a huge difference when it comes to at least trying new brands.
Thank you. And we're not short selling anyone on quality at that point. It helps incredibly to have a factory. It just does. I mean, the cost of production goes down immensely.
Yeah.
And so as a result, you can pass those savings on to the consumer. But
exactly.
We don't want to be mistaken with you're buying a lesser quality because the price point would not be, right? We don't need those huge margins because we make them up on the back end, on the front end, actually, because the factory is the factory. Now, that said, we do have cigars now like Alec Sangre Nueva. Mm-hmm. That wrapper is very expensive. So it inches up close to the 15 mark because of the wrapper. It's a Cameroon. It's expensive. But if you don't find yourself comfortably spending that amount of money for double perfecto Cameroon, you can still go back to our core line and find yourself a reasonable cigar for $10, $9, and still have a tremendous smoke. So what we've done is, over the course of the 6 years we've been in business, is try to go from, if you want something very, very expensive or relatively expensive, we have it for you. And if you want something more affordable, we have it for you. And you're not short selling yourself on quality either way. That's the idea.
Which is an amazing policy to have.
Thank you.
And it's also a great way just to be able to get new consumers and just have people be able just to try it, because and a lot of people go by cigar aficionados and because they see it and they go, oh well, these have to be good, and it's like, no, like there's a lot of great boutique brands, but you have to be willing to try and experiment.
Yeah, you know what? I was talking to some folks earlier today about cigars in general, and I was at a local shop earlier this morning, and I remember I did an event in California where it was a pairing.
Yep.
So they had spirits and they had dark beers and whatever. It was really cool. And now they're getting introduced to my cigars. And I said, okay, everyone knows that life is too short to smoke a bad cigar. And It's true.
Yeah.
But it's also too long to smoke the same cigar. Life is way too long.
I love that. I love that saying.
So why would you marry yourself to one brand only when there's so many good cigars out there.
You know
Uh,
what? When you
you
speak
know,
on that, a lot of older cigar smokers, they stick to their older brands. So they'll stick to
Mhm.
just smoking Davidoffs. They'll stick to just smoking Padrones, or they'll go to the LFDs. It's like because they've been smoking them for so long, they know what they're getting. But after a while, it's like especially if you're smoking a something like an LFD. After a while, if you smoke that every day, it's gonna kill your taste buds. You
Yeah,
know,
they have a potent stick. They do.
yeah. So it's gonna kill your taste buds if you're smoking a cigar every day. So it's always great to try new stuff, and also, when you venture out, and if you venture out and you go back to that cigar, you're able to appreciate it more because you're getting those notes that you used to get because you're not hitting that same cigar every day.
You're absolutely right. And innocent, you know what? Everybody out there right now is trying really hard to come out with the very best they can. I think it's really difficult right now to find a bad cigar. You may find a cigar you don't like, but to find a flat out crappy cigar, it's tough. I mean, people are trying really hard. So when a manufacturer like myself comes out with a cigar, it's something that we think
Yeah.
we like, and hopefully you will like. But understand that you've got a handful of people, maybe in my case, 8, 10 people smoking that one stick. So here you are blending this, you're putting it all into it. You have maybe 15, 16 different blends.
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping the rest of America likes it,
Exactly.
based on 10 people. And it's kind of tough. You're gambling a lot. But the truth of the matter is, we're putting out the very best product that we think you will enjoy.
Exactly.
Will you enjoy it? I don't know. But even if you don't, and that doesn't just not my cigar, any brand out there, if you don't enjoy it, be reluctant to sit there and state it's a bad cigar, it's a crappy cigar. It's just one you don't like. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? There's a big difference there. I don't know.
Mhm.
I can equate it to beers, IPAs. I love the bitterness. I love the hoppiness. Some people don't. Well, I love it.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean a really hoppy beer is a bad beer. It's one you don't like,
Yeah.
but I like it. Single malt scotches. I don't like peatiness.
Yeah.
I don't like Lafroig. I don't like Ardbeg.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it a bad scotch. Very expensive scotch.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's way too smoky for me. I think cigars have to be approached that way, especially nowadays. It's not the 90s when the boom was going on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of crap out there. That's not the
Now,
case right now, my friend.
exactly.
Not the
Well,
case.
there's so much science behind it now, also too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so much science behind it, and the cigar you're smoking right now, the Sangre Nueva. I gave one to a reviewer, Rob from Should I Smoke This,
Okay.
and he goes, and when he first smells it, he goes, "I smell KFC." I go, "Okay, you're on to
Okay.
something." I didn't tell him what was in it. I said, "You're on to something," and he smokes it. He goes, "I thought that this cigar was gonna be heavy KFC," and he goes, "You hardly even taste it."
Yes.
He goes, "It's so smooth and it's so sweet, and it's very floral." He says it's very floral, and he was like, you barely taste the KFC. So, for Alec's first cigar, how do you feel about it, Dad?
I'm very, very proud of him. And it was, and I say this time and again, it was totally his baby. So Alec was the one that had the input in all the blends that we tried and ultimately decided what he wanted. And the secret to making that would ultimately lie on my father's shoulders. Here's what we're doing with that. KFC is such a potent tobacco. If you put just a little more than you are using, it
Mm-hmm.
will overtake the entire cigar.
Yeah.
So the way my father has it done is he's got somebody at the factory who slices off a particular amount, and the rollers are only allowed to use that one sliver. It is a
Yeah.
sliver.
Yeah.
So that way you keep it consistent. If you're not familiar with cigar rolling, the rollers are given a formula. They're not told what they're rolling, they're given a formula. So they're told rather, 3 leaves of ligero, 2 of seco, 1 of viso, and they go 3, 2, 1, and they roll the bunch. But what will happen is there'll be soft spots
Mm.
in between. And they will at that point grab from the ligero or the seco or the viso. They'll grab whatever they want to that they think would make it okay. And they go on to fill up the soft spot. If you do that with KFC and you all of a sudden double up the amount of KFC,
it's a whole different cigar.
It's a whole different cigar. So the idea with them is, listen, you're allowed this one. You can play with the viso and the seco and the ligero all you want, keeping it within the parameters of what the blend is going to be, but you cannot go 1.5 on the KFC. You cannot go 2 on the KFC. You can't go half on the KFC. You use that one chunk of KFC, and that's all you're allotted for that cigar. And that's kept it consistent. Because if not, we'd have a cigar that's varying all over the place, and then you have a full-on, like Rob would expect, a full-on KFC barbecue flavored, overwhelming palate, overwhelmingly just barbecued, where you're just smelling and tasting just KFC. That.
Yes,
correct.
So we spoke about Alec, his first cigar. What was your first cigar that you blended for Casa Cuevas?
Oh wow, the original ones, the core line, the Connecticut,
okay,
the Habano, and the Maduro. That was us, neck deep, trying to figure that out. My dad has a tendency to really like the Connecticut's more than anything else. Yeah. And my dad's been smoking since he was, it's going to sound weird, but think about it. He was born in 1938. So he was like 6, 7 years old.
Yep.
So back then, I don't know if you knew this, but cigarettes and cigars didn't cause cancer back then. Yep. In the 30s and the 40s, no one knew anything about it, right? So pregnant women are in ads smoking a cigarette, that kind of thing. In any event, his thing is the Connecticut. So when we branched off into the Habano and the Maduro, he was pretty much, you guys do your thing, the American market, I'll stick with my Connecticut. And to this day, when my dad comes, they live a couple blocks down, and when he's at the Dominican, which he's now at the factory, and we hang out, it's Connecticut all day long. That's his thing. It's very traditional Connecticut. So my first foray into blending was our core line, which continues to be our workhorse, by the way. Yeah. It continues to be the best seller we have out of anything we have. After that, we've tried to play with wrappers, and we try very hard not to make our cigars taste the same so that people don't perceive that all we're doing is changing bands. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
we don't want to be that guy, right?
So when did you decide to come out with the reservers? Because the story that I hear about the reservers were that was one of your father's first blends, and you guys decided to remake it.
It was, and what happened was, and I'm going to bore everybody with this, the FDA had mandated that if you didn't have a cigar prior to 2015 out in the market, anything new, either you were going to pay $25,000, $30,000 per SKU, per size, to have the FDA approve or disapprove. And by the way, once you paid that money, the money was lost even if they disapproved it. You wouldn't getting it back, or you couldn't launch at all. So nobody's going to launch unless you had a grandfathered product, which is what this fell under. So my dad and my uncle in 2012, 2013, they came out with Cuevas Habanos, and that's a Reserva. So the FDA was gracious enough to allow you to trademark it under the word, in this case, Reserva, because Habanos could not be trademarked. Deals with Habano, Habana, Cuba, can't trademark it. But you had to try to stay as true to the blend as you could originally. And how did they find this out? There is a book called The Perlman's Almanac of Cigars. And these used to come out all the time. I think they're still being printed, but what we submitted to the FDA via our attorney was a printing of the 2014, 2015 Perlman's, which talked about Cuevas Habanos and gave the breakdown of the blends. And that's how we got into it. We did it as an insurance policy, right? If Casa Cuevas, my core line, would have been 86 because the federal government says you can't have this or you got to pay X amount of money, we said, okay, but we have an existing blend. And that was the Cuevas Reserva. So we revived my dad's blend, and it was sold originally in Kansas City, Missouri, exclusively, of all places. I know. And I love Kansas City. We do business in Kansas City. I love Kansas City, but that's an odd place to launch a brand, right?
Very, very odd.
Especially in that time. But we had a cousin out there, Ivan Cuevas, who took it on his shoulders to launch it. It didn't fare very well. He has a full-time job. He did what he could, blah, blah, blah. But it fit the bill so that the government could allow us to use it as a quote unquote grandfathered product, which it was legit. And then going forward, if the government would step on you, then you could sit there and say that everything else that we have in our line is substantially equivalent to that original blend.
Yeah.
So therefore you could carry on, and I could make cigars for innocent and say you're substantially equivalent to Cuevas Reserva. Wow. And because substantially equivalent is such a vague term legally, if you think about it, substantially equivalent could be any type of tobacco, right? Right? Tobacco is tobacco.
Yeah.
So it's substantially equivalent using tobacco. Yes, I am. Well, is it substantially equivalent to? Well, it's tobacco. So therefore, I'm okay. We never got a chance to litigate it. We never had to litigate it, but the argument was there. That's the reason we launched it.
So,
and that's how it came about.
I have an interesting question for you.
Sure.
Because you guys are coming out pretty consistently since 2019. You guys are pretty consistently coming out with new cigars. How many facings do you think are too many faces when it comes to cigars?
Wow. That's a good question. And I think we're getting to that point where my son has been, it's funny you said that, asked me that. My son has been telling me, let's expand sizes in existing lines rather than coming out with new stuff all the time.
Interesting.
It is interesting. And there's a catch-22 there. Every time we do a trade show, whether it's TPE or PCA, the first thing that I get asked by folks like yourself who have a podcast, or even by some shop owners, it's what's new.
Yeah.
And if you say what's new is a new size, it doesn't have as much
oomph as
it's not as sexy, right? It's not. Exactly. It's not oomph, right? That oomph is not there. So you almost feel pressured to come out with something new. Yeah. But I think Alec is right. If you have too many different facings with too many new lines, you dilute yourself. Something's got to give.
Well,
and I think we're there now. And it's funny you said that because we had this conversation last week, my son and I. He goes, Pops, let's expand the lines, meaning sizes in existing lines, and let's forget about coming out with something new. We can come out with something new in a couple of years. Right now, let's just work on what we have. And I think my 24-year-old son has a lot of words of wisdom there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It's in the blood.
I like the pinch. Mom's blood. Mom's a bright one. She's sitting over there watching me right now and smiling, but she knows it. It's those genes, not mine.
You know, so you know, the one thing I was taught, you know, from my mentor was, you know, never badmouth another cigar brand. Never openly, because you never know when you're gonna have to interact with them. But you know, there are certain cigar brands that do have, you're just like, it's way too many cigars. You know, and then it's like, and what happens is that you keep coming out with new stuff, and that old stuff just sits there. And so and then you end up having, you know, 20 different cigars, you know, 30 different cigars, and all different sizes, you know, and all different vitolas, and it's like nothing's moving. But you have a core line of stuff that does move. You know, right. you might have about anywhere between 5 to 8 cigars that's always just keeping the lights on.
I agree with you, and I don't badmouth anybody in my industry. Yeah. First of all, they're all trying to do their very best they can, like I am, and they're faced with the same issues that I am. What I just spoke of right now, where they're expected to come out with something new all the time. Heck, I'll walk into local shops here in Miami where they know me. They know me. Like these are people that are friends. First question, what's new?
Yeah.
What's new?
Or what are you working on? You know?
And so as a result, you always feel almost pressured to come out with something new.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're falling behind the eight ball somehow.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's a fine line to walk. We're walking it this year. This year we're not launching anything new.
Yep.
We have in the works a project for our sledgehammer, La Mandaria, where we're going to come out with a Maduro. Now, the Maduro story has been around for years. I've been trying to get a Mata Fina, a Brazilian wrapper. I can't get anything from that country. I can't.
Wow.
And we finally decided, okay, we're going to go to San Andres, which we like, and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
change the blend. But the most important thing is the bands and the boxes have been done for years.
Wow.
They've been done for years, which is usually the packaging is the issue with us, with most people. The cigars are now what we're working on, and I'm not in a rush. I'm willing to
You
wait
shouldn't be. Yeah.
until February of next year,
Exactly.
maybe March of next year, PCA. We'll figure it out.
So,
but no, I'm not going to rush it.
so since you brought up the sledgehammer, do you want to tell the infamous story?
Infamous is the right word, right? God, it's getting so dark. I think I have to shift on you because they're not going to see me.
No, do you think?
Yeah, and not at all. In 2018 December, we buy a warehouse. 2019 January, we finally accommodate it so that it's ready to go. Humidor set up. The warehouse was demolished, and we bought it, so we redid everything inside. Fine, just a warehouse. We have an office, right? So I did the floor, blah blah blah. So February 11th. Now we had just received our first shipment. February 11th. These guys take a sledgehammer and they break in through the back wall. The humidor is juxtaposed against the back wall, right? You're occupying the least amount of space so that you have the warehouse available. You're not going to put the humidor in the middle of the damn thing, right? It makes no sense. So they break in through the back wall, they cut in through the humidor, and then, smart enough, they didn't open up the humidor door, so no alarms were triggered. Now I had the front door, the bay door, the back door to the alleyway, and the humidor door all alarmed. They were all going to trigger if something went off, because I'm thinking, how do you get into my damn thing if you don't go in through the front door, the bay door, the back door? Exactly. Well, no. These SOBs broke in and then wiped us out. They took everything we had. It's 25,000 cigars gone in a matter of hours. And they took hours because they were spooked. Everything's on camera.
Yeah.
Everything's captured. You can't see their faces. No one ever got caught. No one ever got arrested. We got screwed. We didn't have insurance because they didn't have the fire extinguishers yet at the time. It was a nightmare. So here we are, February, and we're going to our first PCA in July. And Alec says, hey, let's make some lemonade out of these lemons. Pardon the overused term there. Let's come out with a cigar that's going to make fun of this. They use a sledgehammer. We'll call it the sledgehammer. Everything with us is in Spanish, if you've noticed, right? Patrimonio in Spanish, Sangre Nueva, so La Mandaria, Spanish. We took a sledgehammer with us, and it was a limited edition run. It was going to be to try to help us recoup a lot of those losses that we had just had.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it turned out to be a home run. It turned out to be part of our regular production. By the way, that cigar was rolled in terms of blending in 2 or 3 days. Everything was expedited. The packaging was done in a matter of hours. My sales director at the time, Gabriel Alvarez, sat down and punched it out. I go, this is simple box, simple band, let's go. It was all so simple, and it was super successful. So, but for that break-in, but for that calamity, we would have never come out with that cigar. And it's a great story. I mean, it's a true story. If you Google Casa Cuevas break-in, you'll find on YouTube some video footage of it and news footage of it. There's articles on it. It's no BS. It happened. It happened, and it hurt. It hurt bad. But here we are, right? You're stronger for it, and we came out with a cigar that's one of our best sellers to this day.
Yeah, which is a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
And I kind of want to jump back into you brought up the San Andreas wrapper, and how crazy is the boom of Mexican tobacco?
It's insane. And you know what? For a while, Innocent, I had wanted to use that wrapper. You couldn't find it.
Yeah.
could not find it. The day that I stumbled upon it, I remember we went to go see the Olivas in Tampa, Florida. Not to be confused with the Oliva cigar people. These are the Oliva tobacco people.
Hmm.
Same last name, two different entities.
That's why I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Two different entities completely. So I go see them in Tampa, and Roberto Galan, who's the guy I deal with when I'm buying wrapper and filler from them, which you still do business with them. He says to me, I don't have Arapiraca, which is what I wanted to use. Because but I have San Andres. I go, all right. I call my father. I go, hey, Pops, we're going to use San Andres. He goes, you're crazy. I'm not using that. We're not going to be able to get it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not happy with that. I sent him some samples. He goes, this is freaking phenomenal. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden,
Yep.
Here we are with a very hard to get wrapper, which became the new wave.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal wrapper. It's just a great wrapper.
Well, yeah, because because when you look at a Mexican San Andreas, you kind of think of a Connecticut broadleaf, but but you're getting a little bit of a different. You're getting a different flavor that certain more people prefer than the old school Connecticut wrapper, or Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Oh, and the broadleaf, by the way, if you guys are familiar with broadleaf, from a manufacturer perspective, I love broadleaf.
Yes,
I love broadleaf. We use a lot of broadleaf as filler. But broadleaf, when you buy a bale of tobacco, you're buying the stem and the leaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
A bale of broadleaf loses, well, let me put it this way. 30% of the weight of that bale is stem. Is stem.
Wow.
So when you're paying, you do the math. If you're paying, and this is not, the numbers are much higher, but if you're paying $9 per pound, 3 of it essentially is
garbage,
which you can't smoke.
Yeah.
So the price becomes pretty prohibitive. So when you're out there and you're buying a broadleaf, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't have any, so I'm not selling our stuff, meaning we're not using it as a wrapper. When you're out there buying a broadleaf wrapped cigar and the price may be a little eye-opening, think about the fact that these folks paid a lot more money for that than they would for other wrappers.
Yeah.
Because you can't smoke that stem. But when they sell you the bale and the bale weighs 150 pounds, 50 pounds are going to be stem. But you're paying for 150. You follow me, yeah? So you're losing quite a bit of tobacco value on what you're paying. And you're talking $20, $30 a pound. Do the math.
Exactly.
It adds up in a hurry.
It's a lot cheaper to go with the Mexican San Andreas.
It is because you don't have, it's cheaper to go with a lot of other wrappers, but in the end, the San Andres is just a delicious tobacco.
Really,
we love broadleaf as a filler because that's more readily available and you don't get that hit. Ultimately, I would like to use that tobacco as a wrapper, but then we're going to have a really high-end cigar, and this year was not the year to do it, and we're not there yet, and we were just talking about expanding sizes, not lines. So yeah, we're not there. We're not there.
Like the cigar business is really that old school handshake business.
Oh God, yes.
So it really is that where you have to meet the person, you have to meet the shop owner, and you really have to speak with him and kind of impress him to give you that shelf space.
Yeah, because, and rightly so, they're going to tell you, I don't have the space. And you look at their humidor and they don't have the space. Can they make the space? More often than not, they can, but you've got to develop that relationship. And it's still very much a people business. Yeah. Talking to whoever's watching this podcast right now, it's very much engaging with these individuals. That's why, while this works to some degree, when 2020 hit and I was doing podcasts for shops and there were like 30 people that signed on, it's not the same as if I fly over to Pennsylvania or California, or I drive over to Tampa or wherever it may be and get to meet you and shake your hand and get to know you. And then you get to know me and you go, listen, the cigars are good, but I like the dude. I like his family. I like his son,
I'll be honest. That's what I tell people the most. I go, it's not only I like the cigars, but I like Lewis and Alec.
Thank you.
And and that's why I tell people all the time. I go, I like the cigars, but I like them as people more. And when I like somebody and I'm behind them, I push them 150%. People will say, "Oh man, you're always talking about Sanj," but Sanj is my guy.
Yeah.
Not only is he my mentor because he takes his time and any question I have he answers it, but he makes damn good cigars. And no matter what, I'm always gonna be behind him. And I don't let anybody talk bad about him. I don't like if somebody's talking, I'm like, yo, like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Slow down there. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like slow down, and just to go back to you guys from one thing that I heard and I did my research on you guys. I spoke, and I was hoping Alec would be around because just hearing about Alec and how he went to school, he graduated,
You did.
but he chose to be in the family business. And just to hear how that transition has happened, to now, he kind of has to wear that Casa Cuevas banner.
And he does it, and he makes us very proud. Alec, by the way, has a horrific cold. He can't. And no, it's not COVID. We got tested.
Yeah.
We mom is here. She tested him yesterday, and the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. She tested him.
Yeah.
So he's not smoking or whatever. I go, hey pops, it's cool because he's gonna be here like sniffling, and
Yeah.
it's gonna look awful.
Nice.
But Alec represents the family very, very well. He's a 50-year-old going on 25. Yeah, it's pretty impressive to watch him represent us, represent the industry. He loves the industry. Alec worked for a year, nearly a year, at a huge cigar shop here called Neptune's. They carry everything.
Wow.
And he would smoke through entire walls. They would encourage them. So you take a brand like Perdomo, has a bazillion things, he would smoke them all. He would smoke all the Fuentes. He would smoke everything all the way through so that when a consumer walked in,
he would know
and
how
say,
to
hey,
correct it.
correct, right?
Yeah.
And he remembered everything. He would come home at night all jacked up about, Dad, I smoked this, I smoked that, the other. He just loves the industry. He
Yeah.
loves dealing with the people. He loves the whole cigar thing, blending them, the tobacco. I'm very, very proud of him. Very proud of him, and I'm very blessed to be working with him.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for a better son or a better partner in this, and he's all into it, man. I mean, if there's somebody that's passionate, it's my son. Yeah, he's all into it, all into it. And if you've ever met him, it's the best compliment a father can get is when you're not around and someone meets your son or your daughter and then comes back and says, hey, I know you weren't around the other day, but I ran into, and wow,
Yeah.
what a great kid.
Yeah, like I have two sons of my own, and like whenever I meet anybody, they go, your son is so. The first time I met Martine, we met down in Tampa, and he was stuck on a layover, and I was visiting my son, for his birthday. So for his
Okay.
birthday, I go down every year, and Martine goes, yo, I'm in the Tampa airport. I go, for how long? Goes, about 2 hours. I look at my son. I go, want to come into the airport? We speed down to the airport. We meet Martine. Martine ends up getting stuck overnight, but we're there talking for 6 hours.
That's awesome.
But my son is there, just really just like holding the conversation. Because like I know when my oldest is around, I could just sit back.
How old's your son?
He's 16.
How old's your son?
He's 16.
Yeah, that says a lot. That says
You
a
know,
lot.
and of course Martine used to be a YouTuber, and my son is sitting there just spitting game about YouTube, spitting game about marketing t-shirts. I go, what do you know about marketing t-shirts? He goes, I see them I see stuff on YouTube. I'll be on Instagram seeing people, trying to sell stuff and market stuff. I'm like, all right, Mr. Salesman. But it's an amazing thing when somebody comes up to you and says that, you really have amazing kids. My dad goes, my dad goes, he's either gonna be a lawyer or a politician.
Probably.
You
But
know,
you know what? Nothing wrong with that. Well,
exactly.
politician, a little shaky, but the lawyer thing's
Exactly, yeah. Because he says like he's a people person, and somehow, some way, I kind of have that same niche that I can have a conversation with anybody because I can find something that you like. I may not know everything about it, but I'll know just enough to hold the conversation.
That's it.
You
That's it.
know, and and somehow, some way, he picked up on the same thing.
Well,
You
brother, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
yeah,
And in the end, what we went back to going full circle, this is an industry where it's all about people. Listen,
exactly.
I don't, and I firmly believe this. I think we have phenomenal cigars,
Yeah,
and again, I really do.
I believe that,
But
and
there's a lot of other.
I
Thank you, and there's a
testify to
lot of
that.
phenomenal cigars out there. So I think part of the engagement is I hope you realize how passionate we are about this,
Yeah.
how much a family industry this is for us, and you would give us a chance out there to try those cigars, because ultimately there's a lot of really really good cigars, and I think we're right there. What separates that? Hopefully, it's that engagement that you have with the
Well,
brand owners
I think
and the people behind the products.
I think it's half. I think it's 75% engagement, and I think it's 25% price point because you can you,
Oh,
you because you
yeah,
can because you could be the greatest person in the world, but if you're charging $25 a stick, it's like I love the guy, but
yes,
his sticks are a little expensive.
yeah,
So like I think I think it's 75% engagement and 25% price point because if your price point is good, people like not only is his cigars amazing, but it doesn't kill my pockets to where it's like I don't have a problem buying an extra one.
yeah.
Where it's
I
like
understand.
like buying an extra one is not going to kill me.
I understand, and you're absolutely right. And by the way, without calling any brands out, I'm about to do that. But sometimes you got these new guys coming into the fray,
Yeah,
and here they are, and their first initial launch is 25, 30, $35. I'm like,
you know
wow.
what?
I mean, God bless you, but
Yeah,
wow.
it's funny you say that because you know on my old podcast we interviewed a couple newer cigar brands, and and their price points were a little high, and I'm just like, you're new, nobody really knows you yet. I think my thing is, get the cigars in people's hands, and that right there will be the selling point, because they'll look right if your price is too high, they're gonna look right over you.
And with us, for example, as we moved on and our price points have gotten incrementally higher,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't affect our core line.
Exactly.
I have a solid explanation why our Patrimonio with a Corojo
Yep.
is going to be pricier than our core line Connecticut
Yeah.
because it's bloody Corojo and it's going to
Exactly.
cost more money. I
Exactly.
have a reason why the Cameroon is going to be more expensive than the Corojo because it's more expensive
Exactly. It's a
to
more
get
expensive fruit.
tobacco. And,
Exactly.
and, and so there's a story behind it, but I'm not going to come out with the exact same wrapper, filler, binder that I use in the core line, and I'm going to price it at 3 times as much
Exactly. But
because I can't talk my way out of that one, right? And consumers aren't stupid.
yep,
They're
that's
not.
the biggest thing.
They're not.
And I really think that's the biggest thing is, you know, if your core line cigars are $15 and you don't have the name behind it, and I'm just gonna drop one guy out there because I love him so much because he's a character. Steve Saka. Saka goes, listen, my price is my price. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If
Don't
you
buy it.
want to buy it, buy it. But at the end of the day, my price is my price, and that's what it is. And everybody goes, "It's Steve. What do you like? What do you expect?"
By
That's
the way, though, Steve Saka has a background that allows him
exactly,
to do that.
exactly,
Right? It's Steve Bloody Saka. And so he's
exactly,
done enough that he can sit there and say, I'm going to price it at this point. You know
exactly,
who I am. And that's it.
exactly.
If I'm Joe Blow and I'm coming
Yeah.
out with Joe Blow cigars, I can't start at 25. I mean, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to move a lot? Probably
Probably
not.
not. Yeah. you know,
Yeah,
and
Steve Saka gets a pass,
exactly. But
but he earned it.
it,
He earned the
and that's
pass.
the thing. He has the name and the cachet to say, listen, this is what I'm charging. And but then the thing too is, and he's like, listen, like that's what I'm charging for it. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. But you know who I am. You know for a fact you're getting a good product that you're gonna enjoy.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely. And
so
the guy's a wizard, and he knows his stuff really well. And yeah, okay, it's Steve Saka. I get that.
so, you know, I met Steve through Rebecca and Jason.
Okay,
So I met Jason and Rebecca maybe 2 years ago, and I love and I'm talking about Jason and Rebecca from Ash Quarterly magazine. If you go back a
yeah,
couple,
I know them.
no, no,
Jason
no,
Falkenberg.
yeah, no, yep, yeah. I'm just letting the fans
Yeah,
know. So I had them on my podcast a couple episodes ago. So if you want to go back and check them out, you can. But Jason and Rebecca are amazing. It's a free magazine. It's a free magazine. All you do is download it. It's not like one of these other magazines where you have to pay for it. It's right there. And also, Casa Cuevas has a couple of ads
we do.
in their quarterly magazine also.
We do.
You
We
know?
do the business of Jason, and he's amazing. He's a gentleman, and
Yes.
he's a kind person. I love dealing with him. I'll be honest with you as well, and I'm not blowing smoke, no pun intended. Um, this industry is replete with really kind people, really
hmm
good people. There's very, very few people out there that I've met that are just jerks. For the most part, everyone is very, very kind and nice, and
hmm
it's a very small industry. It's a
Oh,
very small industry. I mean, you drop a name and you're 1 degree of separation at best. At
exactly.
best. So he's one of the good people. Jason's one of the good people. Yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca, she used to always check on me with my mom because my mom is sick. She had 2 strokes. So she would always ask, how's your mom doing? How's everything going? She always checks up, and they've just been amazing friends.
That's cool.
You
That's
know,
good to hear.
yeah. So
Doesn't surprise me.
yeah, and just from going from you know the industry, but also like your start date. The opening start date for Casa Cueva Cigars is April 1st.
Yes. My grandmother's birthday.
Yeah,
My grandmother's birthday.
which was very
April
interesting
1st.
with the story.
April 1st, 2017. Yeah, that's when we started. And yeah, it's a little bittersweet. We launched at a shop that's down the street from me here, and the owner recently sold it. Now he sold it to individuals whom I know, but the fact that he's no longer there kind of, and I get it, right? It's a business move.
Mhm.
Fine. I'm not begrudging him, but yeah, it was literally right down the street from me. It's less than a mile away from where I'm sitting right now.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, we started April 1st. That was an appropriate day. My grandmother on my mom's side, which is nothing to do with tobacco,
Yeah.
but it's my grandmother.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
April Fool's Day, I guess I never think of it that way. I always think of
Yeah.
her, and
Yeah.
then April Fool's comes second.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, April
So
1st. Yeah,
so
you got it. That's
I
interesting.
have a question
You
for
do your
Denise.
homework.
Yeah. I told you I did. I have a question for Denise.
Denise, come, come here.
So
What happened here?
oh, I'm here.
I can see myself. I can't
Okay.
see you.
There. Okay. I see. So Denise, when
Yes.
Lewis said that he wanted to start that he wanted to carry on the tradition and start a cigar company, what did you think at first?
Well, I gotta be honest, he's always um been interested in the business
Okay.
because his father did it prior and with his uncle and everything else. So when we would go to the DR, we would always be involved, but not really in it.
Okay.
Say. So when he decided to do it, it didn't come too much of a surprise other than, the circumstances, which
Mm-hmm.
or you probably you did your research and
Yeah.
a large investment.
Yes.
And but I know my husband. better than anyone other than
Mm-hmm.
his mom, of
Yeah.
course. And I knew that if this is what he wanted to do, he needed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that if it was going to be successful, then he was the one that was going to make it successful, right? And if it wasn't going to be successful, he was also going to make sure that we were going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I put my full trust in that, so I have to say that I trusted him wholeheartedly when he decided to do it. And I went with my gut, and my gut said, this is what he wants to do. This is what he has to do.
You know the story, obviously, but I came home that night. I flew to Dominican for one night, and I was back the next day, and it was an evening flight getting back home. And I get into bed, and I go, "Hey, listen, by the way, my dad's proposed this, and I want to do this." She didn't bat an eye. She said, "You want to do it? Let's do it." I go, "You realize, there's a big expenditure here." And she goes, "I understand. Let's do it." So we did it. We did it, and it was really cool. I can't see you at all, but as long as you can see me, I'm good.
I can see you. I can see you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I'm trying to fix it for him now.
It's okay. I can hear you. As long as you can see me, we're all good.
Okay. Yeah. So, really just, of course, like when you first start out the business, there's kind of ups and downs, and it's just like, like when you first opened it up, how would you manage those just ups and downs of the industry when you first
Oh
started?
my gosh, we're still managing them. My hat's off to folks who start a brand without a factory. I think that's such a challenge, right? Because my expenditure on my cigars to manufacture them is cost.
Yeah.
The cost of making them, and that's where we stop. So
Yeah.
the factory doesn't lose money, but it certainly is not gaining any money. It's just kind of breaking even. When people have to buy cigars from the factory, and the factory's making a profit, and then you're parlaying that into selling it, and you've committed to 10, 20,000 cigars. So your money's already there at that factory, and the things aren't moving, and you don't have enough salespeople, or the shop owner says, "Hey, listen, I put it on the shelves, no one's buying it," because some shops, I hate to say this, are not very proactive, and so they'll put your brand out there, and they want it to sell as quickly as Oliva does, or
Exactly.
Fuente, or Padron does, or et cetera, et cetera. And the consumer's going in, "Oh, what a pretty box," and they move right on.
Yeah.
That becomes a challenge. It's constantly an up and down, and I think what keeps us grounded, we're very, very, very faith-driven people. My wife and I, without getting into that stuff, we are very much, and I believe that hard work will pay off in the end. However, it doesn't get lost on me that without the factory, it would really, really be challenging. Really challenging. I mean, unless you have really, really deep pockets, it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, in an ideal world, we would have in-house reps in every state, like a General does, and Altadis does, these big boys do, right? No, we have brokers, and our brokers are phenomenal people. They're incredible human beings, but I don't have them in all 50 states, right? So I'm kind of limited, and that sometimes takes a dip in your sales, and you gotta sit there and wade that water until you can swim again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's been a challenge. It's an ongoing challenge. Whenever trade shows come up.
Yeah.
So February we had the PCA. I'm sorry, the TPE. Did very well. Okay, great. Now these shops come in and they buy deep. All these specials are going on. You're getting aggressive. The deals, blah 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 blah. So you're going to take a hit in March and April, and maybe even May. And now May rolls around. They're waiting for July for PCA specials.
Yeah.
So now you almost spent half a year based on sold in February because they're saying, "I'm going to hold off a little bit." That kind of thing becomes challenging. You have to manage your resources. You got to be very careful how you spend, where you invest, how you do it. But it's a cool ride. I mean, it's a cool ride. And then when you hit that home run and someone tells you, I just smoked your cigar for the first time and I really loved it. And you get an Instagram message from someone you don't know saying, I just fall in love with your cigar, this and the other, or I saw you in a podcast, decided to try this. It feels really, really good. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's challenging.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. And that's not just me, it's everybody, right?
One thing I learned when I wrestled, my coach used to always say, never ride the highs too high, never ride the lows too low.
Lows too low. Great advice.
Just stay even.
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Exactly. Just stay the course. You know, he goes, you just had a big win. You just beat the number one kid in the section. Doesn't matter. You got a fishnet. You wrestle them all the same. Stay the course. Stay driven.
And I really believe that you stay the course, good things happen.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off. But I don't know. I'm not going to be in that position because we have the factory.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to fork out, double what I fork out for my cigars and then have them falter at shops, or shops say no. Because a lot of times there was a shop I'm not going to mention where the gentleman sold already, and I love him. I visited that shop 6 or 7 times in a different city. I had to catch a plane to go visit the shop. And the guy said no. It was my first stop always in that city with that gentleman. And he would always say no. And like I tell my wife, my friends, you got to dip yourself in Vaseline. Everything slides off. No doesn't mean no forever.
Exactly.
It's just not right now, not right now, not right now, until he said yes. And then we were finally in. And then a few years later, he sold it, but we did well for a while. And we're still there.
Yeah.
However, that's just an anecdote of the challenge that it is. I've gotten to the point now where we are in a position where we can, before it was all about if you bought 30 boxes at a trade show from me, I was happy to sell them to you because I just sold 30 boxes. Okay. Now I'm going to sit there and say, hey, Innocent, are you sure you want 30 boxes?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's a brand no one knows. You're in, I don't know, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't have anybody there, boots on the ground. Are you sure you want this? Why don't you just start with 4 boxes, see how they move, understand that I can't be there to sell them by hand to anybody. I don't have a broker to come in and sell them by hand to anybody or work the humidor. Buy the 4 as they move. Maybe next time you'll buy 5. Maybe next time you'll buy 7. Maybe next time you buy 8 or 10 or 15 or 20. But we work together.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because if they buy deep and you don't have anyone there representing the brand, what ultimately happens is if that shop owner is not really hands-on, they're going to get angry at you.
Exactly.
This guy told me 30 boxes. They suck. They can't move. Oh my gosh. And then they go into discount bin and you're done.
Yeah.
You never order again. And I don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at the cash. You're going 30 boxes. That's a hell of a lot more money than 4 boxes.
Exactly.
Right? 7 times as much. So where do you draw that line? And right now, Alec and I are to the point where we'll tell someone, hey, no, it's way too many. Don't. Slow down. Let's just start with 4.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 if you want to go 1 to show, 1 to go. Okay, I'm good there. Right? But not 30. Don't do 30. But I'm willing to buy 30. That's wonderful. Yeah. And I'm happy to want to buy 30. Buy the 30 as we go along. Whenever you want them, I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. And that takes time, that takes patience, that takes a learning curve that I didn't have. I mean, I got into this having factory knowledge, but not experience selling cigars.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a totally different world.
It's 2 different worlds.
2 different worlds, totally. And so here we are, and it's a challenge. Every day is a challenge. You got to make your own income, which is kind of cool. You also set your own hours.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. But it's your own income. You're providing for yourself. And so it's easy to sit there and go, oh my God, he wants to buy 50 boxes. Let's go. No. Think about the big picture. He's going to be stuck with 40 of these 6 months from now. That's not business.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So we've handled it little by little. We're very careful. I'm very careful with the business. I handle both entities, the factory and my brand, as 2 separate entities. So the factory does buy the cigars at a cost. However, I pay myself back at the factory.
Yeah.
That bill is due, and I must pay that bill the way I would pay anything else, the mortgage or electricity or anything else that I would buy, right? A car payment, it doesn't matter. I pay that religiously. It's the only way to keep the books clean. My dad, the other day, little anecdote, he brings over 100 cigars at factory cost. He brought them on a plane, and these are samples to give out to the brokers and this and the other. He sent me a bill for the 100 cigars. He sent me the bill for the 100 cigars.
Yeah.
You know, I got the bill and I paid the bill. I'm sending him these heating lamps that we need that I got on Amazon the other day, and I spent X. I sent the bill to the factory for the shipping and the heating lamps. You've got to keep them separate.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say, I own both things, so therefore I'm just going to go haywire and just buy stuff like that. And that keeps you grounded. It keeps you more careful in how you spend, where you spend, if you spend. So I don't know, man. We're figuring it out as we go. And this year has been a little strange. This year is not like any other year. I thought 2020 was going to be bad. It turned out to be phenomenal. Everybody was sitting at home drinking and smoking.
Yeah.
But this year, the economy is not
what it was.
It's not. And the guy that would buy, I talked to shop owners, the guy that would buy the $20 cigar is now buying two $8 cigars and saving 4 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what's happening. And you roll with the punches. You roll with the punches. So I don't know if I answered your question. I tried to, but
no. Listen, any information you give is great information. And I'm pretty sure anybody that's listening is just taking in everything you're saying. You know, and I think and just getting that inside the business insight, you know, just being able to understand what goes on behind the glass of, you know, of just running your own cigar business.
Well, one of the issues we just run into, and I'm letting everybody know out here right now, that Cameroon wrapper that we're using for Alec's cigars, we won't be able to get that till maybe late next year. There's no more. There's no more. I mean, and I've talked to the big boys.
Yeah.
My father's talked to the big boys trying to get that wrapper. We cannot get Cameroon, and it is not being cultivated anywhere. Wow. So we are going to be running out of Sangre Nueva pretty soon. Will I try to pull the wool over people's eyes and come out with, I don't know, an Habano wrapper? Because I'm smoking one right now.
Yeah.
Habano wrapper, it looks almost the same.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd rather tell the consumer, I'm sorry, we can't get the wrapper. You're going to have to wait a year, 2 years, whatever it may be, than try to sit there and change the blend on people. And they go, oh my God, they changed the blend. Who are these people? Blah, blah, blah. And it's a phenomenal seller. We can't keep it on the shelves, or we can't keep it in stock, I should say.
Yeah.
But I'm about to run out, brother. I'm about to run out.
But you know what?
I've got a few thousand left, and that's it.
You know what? It honestly, like, it's terrible, but it's a good problem to have, because that means it's not sitting.
It is, but it's terrible because part of what we always do at the factory, if you come to make a cigar with me and we sit there at the factory and we blend for a week and you want X, we are able to get samples of X, whether it be filler or binder or wrapper. If I cannot get that consistently, I'm going to tell you, let's not do it, or do a limited run.
Yep.
Because the idea is to keep it going. So we had done our homework and we thought for sure, Cameroon, not a problem. Yep. And it turned into a problem.
You know, so one thing you just said is that it always, in you know, at least for me, I feel like in the cigar world, it's a money grab. It's a money grab saying, where it says like a limited run, where it's like the Andalusian bull.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, it's limited, but somehow, some way, they're right there. You know, it's like, oh, and what they'll do is I'm pretty sure they have them, and somehow, some way, they say, oh, well, we only have this many boxes, but somehow, some way, there's another 2,000 boxes floating around, and then they'll say, oh, well, the price point went up,
Well, supply and demand, right? And we on our end, and I'll give myself credit for this, and my son and my father and my wife who's involved in this, are limited edition flacos, right? The first ones were launched in 2018, and in that robbery, going back to the sledgehammer story, um, the boxes were numbered, and so I had no idea which boxes I had received
Yeah.
and were stolen and which were sold.
Mm.
So because they were numbered and they're very, very unique, I had no idea if Innocent or Matt or whomever had bought box
Oh,
32 or box 35.
you get me in trouble. You have to also say Tony.
Tony's there?
No. Nah, Tony's in Boston, but
Okay.
but
Well, he's there, like meaning watching, or
oh yeah,
or,
yeah. Oh,
or
Tony's
Martin
gonna
for
watch.
that matter too.
Yeah,
Martin
Tony's gonna watch.
Ramaya, right? So I had no idea if we had sold these boxes or not. So we had to completely scrub that project, right? The
Mm-hmm.
boxes are gone. I couldn't just come up with the same numbers again because it's not fair to
Exactly.
the consumer.
Exactly.
So 4 years later, we came out with the new iteration of the Flacos. They were rolled in 2021. This time we made 750 boxes instead of 500, and they are limited. And I've told on a million podcasts, in 4 years we will launch again. In 4 years they'll be rolled, and then we launch.
Wow.
I give you my word that when the boxes that we have, like about 150 left or 100 left, or whatever it is, thereabouts, or a little bit less than that. When those are gone,
Those are gone.
they're gone. They're truly limited.
Yeah.
They're truly limited. I'm not going to be coming out with more of the same. First of all, I can't because the numbers are there. So if you kept your box and your box at 73, if you see another box 73, you're going, this guy's full of crap.
That's
And then I lose you
that's the
forever.
one thing, and that's the thing because these companies, their boxes aren't numbered, so somehow, some way, magically, two more boxes show up, and you're like, and of course, once the shop owner gets them in, he calls his big boys and goes, "Hey, I got some bulls." Because those aren't going. Nobody, no, I don't, I haven't. Well, at least for my experience, I haven't seen anybody sell illusion bulls in singles. If
No, it's open boxes.
it's only boxes, so the second he gets them in like that, and he knows who to call.
And people will buy them. And
Exactly.
I listen, God bless them. I mean, I respect them, and Lito Gomez and company, and their family. They're phenomenal, and they earned it. And I'll give them this: the people that make our Cuevas core line boxes make the boxes for Andalusia Bull, and the boxes are really quite an issue. And that cigar was so highly rated, is so highly regarded. They can't go around selling bundles. It won't work. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I mean this. And I don't know them personally. My dad knows Lito Gomez. I don't know them.
Yeah, I'm not taking a shot at them. I was using them as.
I'm not. Neither am I. Actually, the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm giving them their props. Boxes and packaging, which is why I mentioned the new Mandaria Oscuro. Yeah, we have the packaging ready. It's the cigars that are an issue.
Yeah.
That's huge because normally packaging is a problem for me. It's an incredible problem for me. You got to wait 3, 4, 6 months. I'm waiting, by the way. I've been waiting. It'll be June, which is right around the corner. It'll be a year for me waiting for these baggies for 5-pack samplers. I ordered them in June of last year. June, kind of let that sink in.
Exactly. It's
been be a year.
A year.
A year.
And it's not fair. It's not fair to you guys because those baggies are perfect for right there in front, and they're perfect for grab and go.
And that's what I presented as a new project.
And the thing too is
in February, I don't have them
at that price point. Man, those are just like you're like, you know what? Like, you know what? I need something to smoke. Oh, wow, this price is pretty good. Let me just take it and go.
Yeah, well, the idea, the way we priced them was, and they're not out yet, but if you once they come out, if you buy them, you'll realize that if you buy each stick that's there individually, you're getting essentially a stick for free.
Yeah.
Right? If you do the math, which is what I would do if I found a 5-pack sampler of anything, I do the math. If I buy all 5 individually, am I spending less money or more money? I'm spending a lot less money. I'm buying one for free. And listen, man, we're at a loss. I mean, what are we going to do? We are stuck. We've come up with a plan B, which hopefully will come to fruition about 2 or 3 weeks, but it still puts me into a year.
Exactly. Which is very frustrating.
It's frustrating. And so, and Illusion Bowl, I've seen the boxes being made and they just can't keep up. Because these people that make our boxes and are making their boxes, make boxes for Fuentes, make boxes for anybody in the Dominican Republic, make boxes for Perez,
yeah,
Carrillo.
Yeah.
They make boxes for a lot of other companies. So
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. So I got to give them credit for that. They just can't keep them in stock. The cigars may be there. The boxes are not.
So just to really, now I really want to switch topics and go into Lewis the person, which, so I kind of want to go into Lewis the chef, Lewis the runner.
Yes.
So, Lewis the chef. So somebody told me that you have a special pin on your apron.
My son, I do have a special pin from Matt. It's Matt's picture on my apron. Yes. Yes. It's a picture. They took a snapshot of Matt on some Zoom that they did. And it's a great picture of Matt. I don't have it handy right now, but I got it.
I know.
I've seen, you got it? You got the pin?
I don't have the pin, but I got plenty of Matt. So we made this. Oh, man. I don't think the sun is going to. So we made that right there for Matt.
There you go. That's cool.
So that's Matt's coin.
Cool. And I have an apron that my son gave me, I think 2 Christmases ago, that said, "I'm going to feed all you effers."
Yeah.
And it's cool. Oh. I got the Matt pin on there. Yeah.
So, when did you fall in love with cooking? That's
a good question. I think in my teens. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. And then once I got married, I enjoy it all the time. Tonight she made dinner, but for me, it's my relaxing mode. I don't mind getting up, let's say, on a Saturday morning and having people come over to the house that Saturday night and spend all day cooking. For me, that is just a disconnect. When I get back from work, I'll change into a t-shirt and some shorts, get some flip-flops on. I'll go to the kitchen and I'll try. And if I'm inviting,
I'm not complaining.
I was gonna say, that Denise, you're kind of spoiled.
I am not.
She's very spoiled.
You're kind of spoiled.
We'll make our martinis, which we always have martinis every night, and I'll cook my food. The worst that can happen is, which happens often enough, I won't say a lot because I don't want to kill myself here. If the food comes out crappy, dude, there's takeout. We have restaurants nearby. We'll be all right, right? We'll make it work. We can eat rice and eggs. We'll figure it out. But I like to try new things. And if friends are coming over and I'm comfortable with trying new recipes and trying new things. And again, if it sucks, hey guys, let's take all this junk, throw it all away. Let's call it pizza. And we get a pizza, or we get wings, or we get ribs, or whatever the hell.
This is the guy you invite over.
Hey, Denise.
I cook at people's house. I cook at people's houses. I do.
Yeah.
So in September, I will be there with a full empty stomach. I would be there in September on a full empty stomach.
September hasn't been ironed out. I know you guys are coming. That's a given. And you're gonna come to my home, and that's a given. You're gonna be in this backyard.
Yeah.
Yes.
If everyone agrees and they want me to make a full-on pig, a Cuban pig, it takes hours to make it. I'd be happy to make that. The idea is to get here early in the morning. We drink and smoke while the pig is cooking. And it's a lot of fun. And I've done, 50 of these things. I mean, I'm not going to screw that one up. But I love, the bad thing is the cleanup the next day. The cleanup the next day sucks, but I'll bite that bullet. But yeah, man, I'd love to make you guys a whole Cuban pig. And unlike a smoked hog, it doesn't take 24 hours. It's a specialized oven. The pig is maybe 60, 70, 80 pounds at best. Smaller pig. And in about 4 or 5 hours, you're taking the bones and they're coming right off. It's not pork sushi. It's going to be very well done. We'll eat that with some con gris, which is black beans and rice all mixed together, and some yuca, and make it a good, cool, traditional Cuban meal. And that'd be kind of fun, I think. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it if I'm given the green light. If not,
no. I think it's gonna be a highlighter green light to
well, that'd be awesome. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. I'd love to do it. The night before we season the thing, which is just a party in and of itself.
Yeah.
And we'll grill something, and then I'm seasoning the pig, and the next day we put it on the grill, and then you got to watch it the entire time because it's on coals. It's not on a gas grill, so you watch it the entire day, not 4 or 5 hours, whatever it may be. And the fun part is, if no one else is listening but you are, the fun part is when I'm slicing and dicing it so that people can serve themselves. That's when you want to be there to grab the bits, and that's when the good part is. Not sitting down with a full plate of food formally. Screw that. You want to have
hands in.
Yeah, brother. Scavenger style. That's the way to go.
So besides Cuban cuisine, what do you think your second best cuisine is as far as food to cook? Or
I do pretty well with steaks, which is pretty simple, but I do this thing called the North African marinade, which is amazing. Okay. And I like Italian food. For Mother's Day, I made. She wanted
pasta.
She wanted pasta, so
we rarely eat pasta in this house.
We made a homemade fettuccine with shrimp that was just incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was incredible. I like that a lot.
But he does amazing meals. Like, I mean, he can go on and
on. I like Asian food. I mean, listen, I'm not the best, the world's best cook, but you know what? I'm passionate about it. I really enjoy it. I like it.
She's like you're downplaying yourself a little bit there.
I like it a lot. I love to cook. I love to cook, and it's my distraction. It's my relaxation.
I'll get home and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cook this, and he's like, no, I got dinner tonight. I was like,
yeah.
You're like those days.
And I literally want her out of the kitchen. I do the cleanup. I do it all.
He even does our traditional martinis. At a certain time, we have our martinis. He shakes them up. I can hear the shaker.
Yeah.
Come out and sit with him while he's cooking. Yeah.
You know what the best thing is Denise. She probably comes home and she probably just like, babe, I'm gonna cook.
Knowing that he's already cooking.
He's already cooking. He's like, I'll do it. I'll take care of it.
I cooked today.
Tonight she made,
and tomorrow's meal I already made.
Yeah, she made. So she made for my birthday, which is June 3rd. She's gonna make. I wanted Asian, so she's making Mongolian beef, and she's making these
Asian
meatballs, whatever. So we're having a trial run tomorrow.
Okay,
like a pre-wedding thing,
And then, yeah.
You gotta taste the food before you
go to the choose the banquet hall.
My favorite
that'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, my favorite cuisine is Peruvian food. Have you guys ever had it?
Oh my gosh, yes. This place is full of Peruvians.
Yeah,
it's Miami.
Yeah, so like I love Peruvian food. So lomo sandal is like my favorite dish in the world.
Lomo salteado? Yes.
Oh my God, I can have that every day. If people go,
you know what? I've never tried to make that. I should try that. I've never tried to make it.
See?
And I love
Just inspired him. Thank you.
And I love it. And I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I can do Peruvian food any day, every day, with no problem at all. And
when you're down here in Miami, there's
so much to choose.
Numerous Peruvian restaurants, and I can guide you in the right direction. There's one in the Gables.
Yeah.
Sabores del Perú, Aromas del Perú. It's phenomenal.
The one thing I can't lie, the one thing I do want to try while I'm down there is Haitian cuisine.
Oh, there's great Haitian restaurants here too.
I was gonna, because Miami's like little Haiti, so
Miami's such a melting pot.
It is.
And if you want anything Latin American, they have. And by the way, Chilean food. My wife's Chilean. Okay. There's 2 really good Chilean restaurants. One stands out called Pamelas. It's on Bird Road, which doesn't mean anything to anybody, but if you're down in Miami, amazing.
Hold on 1 second, Louis. Hold on 1 second, because I know the beef between Chile and Peru.
It's Pisco, right?
Yeah, because I have 4 or 5 Peruvian co-workers, and we have my poor little one Chilean, co-worker. And when those 2 play each other in soccer every year, forget about it. Like if she lose if Chile loses, oh, forget about it. They find her and they pounce on her. But when they win, oh, she's like a little firecracker. She gets it going. Like, oh, you know.
Good for her.
As well she should. As well she
I like
should.
her already. I like her.
You know, there's very few Chileans in Miami, and there's very few Chileans in the United States. They just don't leave because they don't have to leave, right?
Yeah.
It's a very solid country financially, and
Yeah.
at least right now it's a little messy, but it was for a very long time. But here we have Argentinian restaurants. They're all over the place. Peruvian, Colombian, Nicaraguan, they're all over the place. Cuban, let's not even talk about. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you want to eat good Cuban food, go to a Cuban's house because there's not a damn good restaurant anywhere.
Really?
Not.
So,
no,
they're not. So I went to this restaurant in Tampa. It was called the Cuban Sandwich House.
I've heard about that place.
Oh, look, it was disappointing, man.
I've heard about that place.
Yes. I was like, I have better Cuban sandwiches in New York than this.
There you go.
You know, I'm like, man.
There's a lot of places like super famous here is Versailles, you know, La Carreta. And to be honest, if you pick between the two, I'll take La Carreta over Versailles, you know? So Versailles is very...
Same ownership group, by the way.
Okay.
Right. But there are better Cuban restaurants than those. They're very famous, but they're better Cuban restaurants, you know? And you're never going to get better Cuban food than at home. Like, you know, it just... You know, there are places that you can try to mimic it, but it's not going to be the same because it's not, you know, it doesn't have that special thing that a home has. It's all like made for a large amount of groups, and that takes away a little bit from the personal part of it, you know. So yeah, so that's kind of the...
When is it? So did you smoke cigars before you met Louis, Denise?
No. We've been together for 30 years.
Wow. Oh, so no matter what, he was gonna like, you want to try now, babe? You want to try now?
No. Yeah, she didn't. No. Actually, I started smoking cigars in 1997. The factory had been around since '83.
Wow.
Right.
So 14 years later, I tried a cigar, and it wasn't even my father's or my family's cigars. We were making cigars for other companies. Yeah. I smoked. My first cigar was a Macanudo.
Okay.
All right, because everybody that start with a Macanudo, and my second cigar was a Por la Rañaga, which still exists. Those are my first two cigars, which is odd as crap because I wasn't smoking my own family's production.
You know what? Not really, just because of the fact that you never know. Maybe you were out, and also too it was. You didn't want to smoke yours and tell your dad, I'm not really feeling it. Let me go out here and try these. And and it's like, okay, you know what? I can get down with this. You know, for myself, I started smoking 4 years ago during COVID.
Okay.
My boys were having conversations. And I was like, you know what? And then my dad went to Miami because my son lived in Fort Lauderdale for about 2 years.
Okay.
And we were down in Miami, and we went to this gas station, and they were selling hand rolls. So I picked up 4. He picked up 20, and I brought those back with me. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me try these. And I butchered everything. I went and tried to cut the cigar with scissors.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I tried to cut it with scissors, and I was like, it unraveled. I had no idea. I was coughing, and then I went and I said, you know what? Let me do this right. For 2 weeks, I went on YouTube and
you did your research.
Just digged on how to smoke a cigar. You know, and then Tim was like, Tim Swanson, he went and said, you know, get a cup of water, just take it in your mouth, don't swallow it, and that's what you want to do with a cigar. You don't want to take it all the way in. And from there, sadly enough, my first cigar was a Isa de la Sola from Georgia.
Okay.
You know, it was a flavored cigar. So at first I loved flavored cigars. And then little by little, you know, I started actually like really getting into actual, you know, tobacco. So
And you know what? I think there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with flavored cigars because I call it the gateway drug.
yeah,
And
yes,
a lot of people start with that one, and then they
they move on.
gradually
Yeah,
they transition.
Yeah.
They transition.
so
That's interesting.
it's a very easy way for a person to go from, and also just to learn because
Yeah.
and also too like some people might not like the taste of tobacco at first, so it gets you used to just a little hint of tobacco, and then from there you can move them on to Connecticut. From Connecticut, then you go darker and darker because the problem with most people do is they'll just buy any cigar and they'll give them the darkest leaf ever, and what happens is that person ends up throwing up. They end up throwing up, and it's like,
And
oh,
to turn it forever.
right away.
Exactly.
I heard a story. There was a shop here which closed, and it was a male and female partner. And a gentleman comes in because the lady told me about the story. The co-owner, gentleman walks in. He goes, "I'm not familiar with cigars. I'd like to try something." So she says, "Try a Cuevas, Connecticut from the core line."
Mm.
And the partner said, "No, no, no, no. Try a Padron 64 because he's using the higher end sale. They're going to make more money." And she says, "I don't think that should be his first cigar." She goes, "By the end of the night, we're cleaning up. Like I had left this Padron 64 almost complete
Mm-hmm.
on the ashtray, walked away, and never came back."
Yep.
So that dude may be smoking again, but the first cigar he had was a chest buster,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned him off.
Yeah.
And he probably inhaled it. He probably did everything wrong, felt like crap, and goes, "Screw this. I'm putting this down. I'm not smoking anymore."
Yeah. So a funny story. Like I started. I was trying to go like I picked up a Romeo by Julieta, but the San Andreas.
Okay.
Before days to smoke that cigar. I was throwing up, and this is in my first 2 weeks of smoking cigars. I was throwing up. I'm like, I don't care. I'm determined. I'm gonna finish it. It was making me sick, and I'm just like, why is this cigar making me so sick? Not understanding that the darker leaves will mess you up, and it's easier to start with Connecticut and then work your way down.
Correct. Correct.
Because there's still some dark leaf cigars that will get you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the mood you're in, if you're agitated, if you're nervous,
Yeah.
all these things have something to do with it. Empty stomach.
Yeah.
What you ate the night before.
Especially an empty stomach will get you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And some people don't know that, and that's where a good tobacconist
exactly,
can
yeah.
educate someone coming in, and you create a lifelong smoker and hopefully a lifelong customer.
So the shop I go I brought up signs maybe 2 or 3 times already during this. But he doesn't carry he sticks to a lot of boutique brands, and he doesn't have any of the general cigar stuff. So he doesn't have any of the Cahibos, Monte Cristo, stuff like that in his shop. So he goes, so anytime somebody comes in, he goes, "What do you normally smoke?" And that's one thing that I learned was first thing you ask somebody when they're smoking a cigar, no matter how long they've been smoking, "What do you normally smoke?" And he'll go, "Oh, well, I normally smoke a Perdomo champagne." Okay, so I know he likes Connecticut, but very, very light Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't go in my cigar bag and pull him out something that's super dark. He's not gonna like it. And so you always ask people, "What do you normally smoke?" And that way you get a general idea of something that's like it, that has that's either medium full, or light, and you have a ballpark to work with.
100%. And by the way, that's where someone like my son comes in and really shines because since he worked at Neptune's, like I told you,
Yeah.
When we do an event and we're introducing the brand to someone or a group of people, that's the question. What do you normally smoke?
Yeah.
And then he gets into the weeds. So they'll say, "I smoke a Perdomo champagne." I go, "Okay, great." And then he'll break it down into sizes and this and the other, da, 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 da. And he'll go, "Okay, in our repertoire, I think you would like this." And what it winds up doing, you wind up connecting with the consumer.
Yeah.
And hopefully, yes. And they learn to trust you and say, "Okay, I like this." So Alex sometimes will run into people that'll smoke some names that I've never heard of, and the kid will break down. Oh, that's the one that was released in 2019. It was limited. Like,
You know,
wow, dude. And so you gain credibility with that person, man or woman. And on top of which, now that you gain credibility, now they trust you. Now
yeah,
you can say, hey, listen, I get you. I know what you like. Try this from us.
exactly.
You got to be on that point. It's very, very important. Very important. Very important to do that.
You know, and that's really the one thing when it comes to cigars is really, you know, if you want to introduce them to a brand, you really so the one thing that made me that made me fall in love with the Patrimonio was one of my favorite cigars was the La Roma de la Cuba de Passion.
Okay.
And when I smoked the Patrimonio, I said, this is a better version to me, at least, of the Passion because it has a taste to it, but it also has a little bit of that spice to it. And I was like, okay, so I was like, this is the one. You
Well, thank you, by the way.
know,
That Alec calls it the creeper.
yeah,
It's because you look at it and then you're thinking, okay, kind of light colored.
yeah,
I don't know,
no,
bro.
it's oh no, no,
And it creeps up on you.
exactly,
The
it
creeper.
really does. Like, and to me, I remember the first time that I picked that I got the Patrimonio. Like, I was shopping down over at little guy cigar shop,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I like that box. The white and gold stands out to me, and I got it in, and one of my best friends is with me at the job, and I open the box and I see that picture, and I was like, wow. That from that moment on, from seeing that picture right there, I said, I am the biggest Casa Cuevas supporter.
I appreciate you.
And I told
Thank you so much.
I told Mike that. I said this is one of my favorite boxes that I have out of all the boxes of cigars that I bought because it shows the legacy.
Thank you.
You know?
And I don't know if you knew this, you probably did because you obviously done your homework.
Yeah.
But everything that we have, whether you look at the stars that we have under the Casa Cuevas logo, they represent generations. If you look at the country seals, you're going to have Spain, which is where my great grandfather was from, who started everything. You got Cuba, where I was born, and my dad was born, and my grandfather, etc. Then you got the Dominican Republic, and now moving forward, you got the U.S. seal because Alec was born in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So everything with us is very, very much a family oriented business and entity.
Yeah.
I always joke around that when you meet Alec and myself, while my dad is running the factory, Alec and I are the shipping department, janitorial staff, we're the HR department, we're the billing department, we do it all. It's a 3-man crew essentially running this thing. And I'm very proud of it, and it's kind of cool. So that picture that you like so much creeps me out because it's kind of weird to see your picture somewhere. Yeah. but a lot of people like the idea that you're representing the family, and that's what it is. It's very much that. It's a family endeavor through and through, and I'm proud of it. I'm going to ride that wave as long as we can. So.
Well, I think, and honestly, I feel like the brand is in good hands with Alec because he just has the passion of it.
He does,
and he fell in love with it, and and also, like, and from what it sounds like, he's just a cigar nerd, which is
that's
great.
what he is. He's a cigar nerd.
Yeah,
my son is a cigar nerd. Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Alec will go when we travel and we go anywhere. First thing he does, he steps in the humidor. That's part of what you do. You walk in the humidor, let me take a look around. Of course, I say yes, and if it's a well-appointed humidor, props to the owner, the shop owner. And then he'll hunt around for something that he hasn't had or something that's new. And that's what he wants to buy. And he'll buy it. He will go out of his way to get these cigars. He goes, Dad, I read about this. It's new. I got to try it. I've heard good things about it. He's very much a cigar nerd where I'm like, I look around and I'll buy a cigar, but I'll probably wind up buying something I already know. I won't venture out. He will venture out.
Like one thing that I learned was if you go to a shop, ask them if they have hand rolls. Smoke their hand rolls, and if their hand rolls are bad, like from
That's interesting.
people, because if they that just means that their palate is not really going to match because your hand rolls are kind of like your staple for your store.
They
So,
represent they represent you.
They represent you, so you want to have good hand rolls.
That's interesting.
Especially for your store brand. It's like when you have something and you're like, these are the ones that are made for us, and you have it, you're like, oh, this tastes like newspaper.
Yeah,
you're like, man, like if I ask him about a cigar, how do I trust him? How do I trust his palate if this is what he likes, and this is what he trusts to represent his store?
that's interesting. That's a good angle. I never thought of that. That's actually brilliant.
Yeah,
It is.
You
It
know, like,
is.
and that's something that I was taught, and because most of the time, anywhere I go, and especially if I go to, because I've been to the cathedral in Tampa.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
Oh, amazing! But the first thing I went for was the hand rolls. That's the first thing I went to. I went and I grabbed their hand rolls to see, just how their hand rolls are, because that right there is what represents the store.
I didn't either.
I didn't even know they had a hand rolled section.
Well, so if you look at it, they're like up against the wall and they're like straight up. If you go inside, they won't be banded, but they'll just say Corojo, Connecticut, and then I guess somewhere else it'll be like their Maduro.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The next time I go there, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out.
We went there. It was when they had just opened up. I mean, it was just.
Well, they still had them. I mean, but we bought, name brands, whatever it was. I forgot what the hell we smoked that day. Yeah. But yeah, that place is.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
The place is beautiful.
Like, yeah, and that's something that I always, especially when I'm traveling, going somewhere new. I'm like, all right, where's your hand rolls? Like,
we gotta go.
It's a shop, yeah.
I like that. I like that angle. For what it's worth, and I've said this before, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but thinking about things that go with cigars and this and the other, my favorite thing, non-alcoholic, to drink with a cigar is a Coke.
You know what? So, oh man,
I love Coca-Cola with a cigar.
So mine's a coffee. I could good coffee with a good coffee or a good whiskey. I'm going to go either way. Like, so one thing that everybody has their own philosophy when it comes to the first time you have a cigar. Everybody has their own philosophy if you should have with water, or if you should have with soda, or something, because some people say that the soda will kind of mess up the flavor of the cigar, just because of the sugar and the cola. So when you first pull it, you're not getting the actual flavors of that cigar first. Do you believe in that, or?
I disagree with it only because when we are blending, our palate cleanser in between is Coke. Now, in the Dominican Republic, they use sugarcane
instead of corn syrup, like over here.
Yes, and it's a game changer.
Yeah,
right?
It's 2 different worlds. Yeah,
it just tastes so good, and not a Diet Coke, not a Coke Zero, not a Pepsi. It's got to be a good old fashioned Coca-Cola in a little tiny glass, Mexican style, whatever. So good. I think it enhances the flavor. I do.
Okay. All right. So
that's just me. I mean, everybody's palate is different, but a lot of times people will go, I mean, coffee is a staple. Yeah. Whiskeys are staples, whether it be Scotch or bourbon or whatever. But I go, okay, if you don't want to drink something that's caffeinated, well, Coca-Cola is caffeinated, but not as much. You don't want to go with the coffee and you want to stray away from something with alcohol in it, I suggest a Coca-Cola. And it works for us at the factory. At least I think we did. It works for us, and we try. That's our usual go-to.
My go-to is rum.
See, there we go.
By the way, Zacapa rum, which is the one we always go
Yeah.
to at the house, which
So-
I'm about to grab some now. Zacapa is phenomenal because it's got a bit of a sweetness to it, and it goes well with it.
Yeah, so
I'm struggling to pair it with wine. I know port or whatever. Okay, I'm not talking about port wines. I'm talking about a Cabernet or
too
just,
rich.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me.
It doesn't do it for me.
And I wish it did. I wish it did, because God knows I've done events where that's what they have to pair.
Right.
And I'm going, okay, I'm struggling with this one. I got to lie because I don't know. Yeah, like
right now
I'm
having some Jeffersons right now.
There you go.
With a mixture of coffee just to, but I actually have like a mini whiskey collection. I got like 16 bottles, like right.
Nice.
So
right around the corner.
Right around, yep. Right over here, right into it. Yep. Like when my brother come by, he goes, "Where's your liquor?" I go, "Oh, it's in the office." He goes, "Why you got so many bottles?" I go, "Just try different things." His thing is he drinks Hennessy and Douce. He drinks cognac. That's his thing. For me, I feel like whiskey is kind of it's like cigars. It's like wine. Everyone is different.
Yes.
So
we have a really good friend of ours in California, Jim and Christine. Christine is my right hand in California, and her husband Jim has an extensive bourbon collection. I mean, extensive, hundreds of bottles.
Crazy.
And he's the guy that we went on the whiskey trail back in December. So my nephew turned 30 in Kentucky, and he's the one I was sending pictures to him. Look what I found. Look at this. Look at that. It was very cool.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
I was gonna get into the fact that you love George Michael.
I do.
You
did all your homework.
Come on, Lewis. Like, come on, man.
My goodness gracious. Wow. You could have done the interview without me.
Listen, just like, for me, when it comes to music, like I love to listen to like lo-fi jazz. And sometimes when I'm at the cigar shop, we got one guy, Mario, and he loves Cuban style of salsa.
Okay.
So he plays very old school Cuban music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he because he loves the instruments, he loves how they play the bongos, and because one thing that he loves on it is just the African influence.
Yes, very much so.
When it comes in Cuban culture.
Very much so. Very much so.
So
and we like salsa a lot. But to listen to it for me continuously, like I like Cachao a lot and Benny More and all these famous Cuban artists, but I can only listen to it for a certain amount of time because it all becomes the same sound over and over
again. Yeah.
And if I'm not dancing it, then I get a little bored by it.
Yeah.
I'm Cuban. I'm entitled to say that.
It's okay. You know what? It's like for me, like, well, when I'm going to work, my thing is like my dad is from Grenada.
Okay.
So my dad is from Grenada. So I love soca music. So when I'm going to work, or like actually even before the podcast started, just to kind of get like some energy, some good vibes, I throw some soca music like right before you guys came on, so I could just relax, calm down. And that right there is really my thing.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, like do you guys have time for questions?
I'm sorry?
Do you guys have time for questions?
Yes, of course you do.
All right, let me just copy this link.
The Heat are playing right now, but it's basketball, so until fourth period, it doesn't really matter.
Listen, first of all, let me tell you this, man. All right, like as you see, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. So I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and that right there, that series like broke me until you guys went up. If like until you guys destroyed Boston, Oh man, I'm over
It's not over
like
yet, right? So
it's
always
over.
cringing a little bit. I'm always cringing. Look at my Florida Panthers were down three
Oh
one, like
wow.
Bruins, and they came back. So you never know. You know, it's not over till, as they say, the fat lady sings, right? But right now we're enjoying the ride, and then tomorrow hopefully the Panthers will win. Hopefully tonight the Heat will win, and
Yeah,
you ride the wave. Listen, I've been a diehard Dolphins fan since I got to this country, and it's been a miserable experience. You know.
hey, listen, I'm a Cowboy fan, so you can only imagine.
Oh, but the '90s, you were ruling it. Come on now, come on
Yeah,
now.
we were, you know.
You had a good ride. You had a very good ride.
Yeah, you know what we did, and you know, like I like my dad is like, why do you still root for them? You know, he's like, why do you still root for the Cowboys? And I'm like, because those are my guys.
That's your team. And by the way, I'm the same way, right? So anywhere I travel throughout the states, inevitably you get into sports or whatever. What's your team? The Dolphins. And I go, I know, I realize they're not great, but that's my team. And the day they win, and they'll win someday. I don't know when. Maybe on my deathbed. I don't know. When they win, no one can ever say I was a fair weather fan.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, they were always his team, right? And so anything from Miami is really where my heart is at. And so right now it's a fun ride to watch the Heat playing as well as they're playing, and the Panthers. The Panthers are playing phenomenal. So it's been a fun
Right.
a fun time for South Florida sports fans.
Yes, it is. Because you know what? Like, so I didn't know where they played that.
What do you mean?
Because like I was like, because I know where the Lightning play at to play in Tampa, but
Mhm.
Florida, but I had no idea that they played the Boca Return.
Yeah, they do. They play up in Sunrise, whatever it is, and so it's in Broward County. Um, yeah, they're in the middle of between both counties, so to speak, almost right. They're on the cusp of Broward County, and we're in Dade, Miami-Dade. So from my house, it's almost equidistant to go to Dolphin Stadium. I
Yeah.
call it Dolphin Stadium. I know it's got a different name. I don't care. As opposed to going to where the Panthers play, and the closest one for us is where the Heat play
Okay.
because we'll take the Metro Rail. So we park in Dadeland, which doesn't mean anything unless you're in Miami, and we'll get the Metro Rail over there because parking's a nightmare. So you want to be able to just get off, get back on the rail, and you're back to your car, and off you go. So that's really in the center of town by Bayside. But the other two locations are pretty far away. To be honest with you, they may call themselves Miami, but not where the Marlins play.
Yeah.
That's the old
That's
Orange. That's the old Orange.
that's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, that is a pretty stadium. But I don't really care for baseball. I can't get into it. And I know I'm Cuban, but it's just not my thing. I'd rather watch soccer.
You know,
Uh,
who's your soccer team?
oh, Real Madrid is my soccer team.
So
Only because it's Spanish, right?
well, I'm a Man City fan. I like.
Okay, all right, all right.
I'm sorry we beat you guys down. So how do you feel about
Fine.
the whole thing that's going on with Vinny Jr.?
I'm not familiar with it. Tell me about it.
So, Vinny Jr. is so right now I believe he was over at Valencia, and the whole stadium was yelling, "Mano, mano, mano." They were all calling him a monkey.
Really?
Yeah. So
Really?
he's thinking about leaving Spain because he's saying that they're not like he's been dealing with this for the last 3 years. You know?
That's absurd.
Yeah. So,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do I feel about that? I think it's BS. That's how I feel about that.
Well, a lot of Brazilian players have dealt with that problem when they played in the La Liga.
Really?
Yeah. So now, a couple people from Brazil were saying Brazil thinks that Spain is a racist country. So now Brazilian players are thinking twice about going over to play over in the La Liga.
Interesting.
Because it wasn't just him.
Interesting. That's crap.
It happened to Danny Alvarez too, where they threw a banana on the field.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember reading about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do they feel about the young man who's French.
Mbappe.
Yes.
Oh well,
it's amazing.
Yeah, the good thing about Mbappe is that he plays in France.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to tell me that Barcelona or Madrid wouldn't like to have him
well,
as part of their team? Come on.
They would love
Nonsense.
to have him. It's not the fact that they wouldn't love to have him. It's more of the fact of what he would have to deal with when he gets there from not from Barcelona, Madrid, but the other smaller teams.
In this day and age, that's nonsense.
It really is. And the problem is that what they say they're going to do with that is they're saying that they're actually going to take players, fans, and arrest them. But here's the problem. Yeah, you have cameras, but you have no idea who that person is.
No, I get you. It sounds good on paper, right? Yeah.
It sounds good. And he's like, you guys aren't doing anything to protect us. So it's actually really, really messed up.
That's really messed up. We'll look into that. That's disappointing.
It's very disappointing. Like, and another thing, how'd you get into running? Out of all, I hate to run. I play rugby.
And running was our passion. So I ran in high school for a bit, and I didn't run cross country in high school, and I should have, but I didn't. And then she did. She played soccer as well. And then so there was a race here, the race for the cure, Susan G. Komen. It's throughout the United States for breast cancer, this and the other. And this is 2009, give or take. No, 2007, 8, whatever it was.
I had a teacher friend of mine that is a breast cancer survivor, and she did it every year, and she asked a group of us at work to do it, and so that was the very first race that we.
So we ran it, and if you finished in the first 100 people, they would give you a medal. Otherwise, it was just for charity.
Yeah.
So I ran. I came in the first 100. Whatever, it's fine. And after that, we started running more and more. And to make a long story short, I've run the New York City Marathon. I've run the Chicago Marathon, the Disney Marathon, Palm Beach, Miami. We've done 200-mile races, relay races, one of which my son and myself and the team we had, the last one, that was 200 miles into Key West. We won outright in 2015.
Wow.
It's just been, for me, running was, because now it's a chore, even though I ran this morning, I ran 5.25 miles. For me, it was something that I look very much forward to. So I go out on Friday night and I wouldn't drink at all.
Yeah.
So that Saturday morning I get up at 6 and go and train for triathlons. I've done 3 half Ironman. She's done a half Ironman. We did one in Georgia. It's just a passion. So you would think that when 2020 hits and all the gyms are closed, I would keep running. What I did was I just kind of stopped doing everything.
Wow.
So I would get up in the morning and I'd go to the office just to go to the office, just to keep some kind of structure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'd be at the office doing nothing. I'd go to the office for an hour and I'd come home. And you can't see where we're at, but you'll see when you come to my home. There's an area under a tiki hut with a barbecue, whatever, and I'd have the TV on, I have a laptop, and it's over there.
Okay. Oh, wow.
There it is, right there. So I'd sit there and I stopped running and stopped running and stopped running. We picked up golf, not my game. I like it. I'm terrible at it. She's very good at it. She adores it.
I do.
And then lately I picked up running again. So if again, when you come to my home, there's a room that we have devoted to, we have hundreds and hundreds of medals. Wow. All over the place.
Essentially, for 5 years, we were doing.
That's all we were doing.
Every single race we could possibly think of. Every single weekend.
Our daughter was dancing at the time. Yeah. She was doing competitions of dance, and so if she had a competition in Sanford, Florida, or
wherever,
Tallahassee, Florida, or whatever, somewhere in Florida, we drive, and she would start, let's say, her dance at 11 in the morning. That's when she was going to be on.
Yeah.
So we'd find a 5K. That was somewhere nearby, local 5K, and we'd race it. Yeah, so we based our vacations.
Yeah.
all around running. Everything was running.
Because the races would start like at 7 a.m, so you were done.
Yeah, you're done. If it's a 5K or
And then
10K, you're done in an hour, you know, and if it's a 5K, you're done in 15, 20 minutes, and so
it
you're
was a good
finished.
training for whatever big, you know, race you.
I love running.
It is a de-stressor for me. Just
So,
like
when do you come up to do the New York Marathon?
I did it already.
He's done it.
I ran that one.
Yeah.
I ran that
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
I ran that one. 3:43 is what I ran.
So I think you might have to run it one more time.
I may have to, and I will. I mean, it was a really cool experience. The New York, like Chicago.
She sees what I'm doing. She sees what I'm doing.
I have to do it though.
You know, because if you guys come up to New York, I'm like, oh, you guys are in New York. All right.
Let's run and let's sell cigars.
As far as I'm concerned, we don't need to run to go to New York.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen.
I loved it.
I work for Hyatt, so you know, if whenever you guys are traveling, you need a hotel, just let me know.
I appreciate that.
I could try to get you guys a friends and family rate.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but have you guys ever heard of David Goggins?
No.
So David Goggins is a ex-Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And he runs those ultra marathons.
Oh yeah.
So he came in second one year in Hawaii, in the he came in second one year because he basically caught his shin splints were so bad that his shins basically shattered.
Wow.
So he runs like his feet. If you see a picture of his feet are destroyed. He runs a marathon every day.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, you know, he gets up, he goes, I run. That's what I do. You know, and he broke the record.
Some people just have that, like, you know, I run, but I don't run as passionately as my husband. My husband loves to run. He really truly, it's something that he needs to do. You know, I don't. The one thing I need to do right now is golf, but that's
you know what?
The weather's killing golf for me. But
I wish I was able to run. For me, it's like I'd rather go pick up the weights, put them down. It's like or back when I'm at rugby practice, it's like, oh, okay, well we'll do drills. Oh, it's time. Oh, well, it's time for conditioning. I got a hammy. Oh,
yeah. You know what? And I think what people would tell me when I was running, I mean, we would get up and I'd run 10, 12 miles a day. Not a marathon, but 10, 12 miles a day. I'd run. At 5 a.m, I'd be out there because I had to go to work and whatever else. Okay. It was never, ever a chore. It was never like, I got to get up. Oh my God, I got to go run. I don't want to go run. Never like, oh my gosh, what a struggle. I'd get up and I'd lace up and I'm out the door. And it was so easy to just walk out and you're running.
Yeah, there's no equipment needed other than
a pair of shorts and some shoes and a shirt.
Right.
And if it gets too hot, you take off the damn shirt. Either way, you're just running.
Right.
So easy. And I really, really loved it. I loved it. Now I'm trying to get into it. My struggle is I'm going to be 57 in a couple of weeks. My last really, really good year running, I was 49. And I'm trying to be what I was, and while my brain says yes,
your body just
says no.
Yeah.
You know, my dad has a story about that. And I tell a story and people kind of get a little cross-eyed, but I think hopefully you'll I know you'll understand it, but hopefully you'll
get the
see the same thing I see in it. My dad being a guy who was a farmer all his life and this and the other with tobacco, blah, 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 says, okay, so a dude has cows, a farmer, and the cow gives birth to a calf. So he says, okay, every day I'm going to milk the cow and I'm going to lift the calf up. So day one, he comes out and he milks the cow and he lifts the calf up. Well, there comes a point where the calf is growing. So you struggle with it today. Yep. By tomorrow, the animal gained another X pounds.
Yep, exactly.
Your brain's saying, but you did it yesterday. Why can't you do it today?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, age is like that. And you watch it with all these LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron had a great series, but he wasn't the LeBron of old.
No, well,
right?
you could just see it. He was gassed.
Dude. The years do not go by in vain, and that's a top-notch athlete.
Yes, puts $1 million into his body.
And still, the years will press you down, and they kind of.
It's like what he said. Your brain says yes.
Your brain says yes. Your body says no.
Well, it's like watching Lionel Messi. I've never seen a player walk as much as he does, but he picks his spots.
He does.
He's always walking, and then once the ball comes his way, he turns it off. He's off. And not like the young guys, where the young guys are always up and down, up and up and down. He's like, when the ball comes my way, that's when I'll work. And he's just 24/7. I'll take it easy. Like it's gonna come back to me. And that's
and when he needs it, he uses it, right? Yeah. So what I've been doing lately, when I ran my 5 1/4 today, I go, okay. And I ran yesterday, whatever else. I've decided I'm going to run at a decent pace, a comfortable pace. I'm not going to worry about the time. I'm going to worry about the distance.
Yep.
And I've got to sit there and forget about what my pace is, because I can't do the pace that I used to do. At least not right now. I can't anyway. Maybe in 3 months when we're talking again, I'll go, hey, guess what? I'm kicking ass. I doubt it. Because the years do not go by in vain.
Yeah.
And that's a great example. And you look at these athletes, they're in their 30s and they're over their peak. In their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm hitting 60. What do I want?
Exactly.
But I do stuff like I'll look at local 5 or 10K races or half marathons, and I'll look at stats, and everything's by age group, right? So you look at the age group, and I'll see how people did in my age group, and I go, okay, I could have done this, I could have done that. And I'm doing all this calculations, all this calculus over where I could have been or have not been. And right now it's bothering me a little bit, but in the end, it's my de-stressor as well. I run in the morning, gives me ample time. We're talking early in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I get ample time to come home, take a shower, and make it to the office by 9:30. I'm good. No harm, no foul. It isn't like I'm running in the middle of the day and I'm cutting into my work schedule. My work schedule is still fine, but it's my thing. And I tried the golf thing. I enjoy it, but I get frustrated because I'm just not that good at it. And it bothers me because I'm competitive as hell.
Yeah.
I'm competitive as hell. Mm-hmm. So I go, okay, let me do what I used to do well. And I was a good runner. Maybe I am for my age group right now. I don't know, but I'm not what I was. And it's bothering me a little bit, but I really enjoy it. So for me, I got into it because I got into it. But it was never, ever a challenge or a chore. I just like it. It's my thing. Like,
yeah, everyone has their thing.
Like going to the gym for some people, getting up and lifting weights, or doing Pilates or getting on a bike or whatever. That may be their thing.
I'd love to see you do Pilates.
Not gonna happen.
Pilates is a killer.
It is a killer.
Let me tell you this. Pilates is any man's weakness. That is not a man's strength. Pilates is not.
Brother, I'm not doing that. It looks awfully difficult. Awfully difficult. Somebody has questions about running?
No. Well, I'm texting the guys to see if anybody wants to come up. But for me, running.
All over the place.
Yeah, no, running is. I can't. I call myself. I call myself a gator. I'm literally a crocodile. I got 30 yards. That's it. I got a hard sprint for 30 yards. After that, I'm dead.
I hear you.
So,
and we also all have our strengths and our weaknesses.
No, also too with just the way it's just like, I don't have the elusive speed I used to. So now I call myself just like a Marshawn Lynch. Just like I can't run around you.
But I'm gonna run through you.
I'm gonna run through you. And I go, listen, like they better pack a lunch. Because
how old are you?
38.
Yeah.
So I go, listen, I can't run around you, but listen, you better pack a lunch because all this weight is coming right at you, and
at you.
And I'm gonna lay the shoulder right into you. So
you guys are gonna have a really good time in September, by the way. You guys
I can't wait. So, but my son, he's gonna be here next week. So he's flying up next week, and then I'm going down to get my younger son. And so he's like, Dad, every day that I'm here, we're going to the gym. I said, all right. And so now he's putting on a little bit of muscle now. And so now he's like, yeah, Dad, you can just hand over the throne. So the next. I think the question now is like is when does Alec start out? Does Alec run?
No. Alec ran cross country and track at a really
Yeah.
high level. Yeah, Alec ran for a local all boys school here, and he was kicking my ass by his sophomore year, and I was asked about that, and I would win my age groups.
Yeah.
I couldn't beat my son,
Yeah.
but you're a father.
Yeah.
I want my kid to be better looking,
Yeah.
more intelligent, more successful. So I had no problem with my son outrunning me
See.
at races for a while.
Yeah.
He first got into it. Yeah, I was the guy.
Yeah.
And he stepped up and stepped up and stepped up. And next thing you know, the kid was a very, very elite runner.
Yeah.
And I was not, because I was the age I was, and that's fine.
I think the thing is that,
brother, I was proud of him. I was proud of him.
I guarantee you the first time he beat you, he let you know about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
He won a race.
Yeah.
Wait, he won a half marathon. He won out like his age group. His age group outright.
I remember this. Kid this is at the beach.
Did not train at all. Like we kept telling him, you have this marathon, you gotta train. The kid didn't run more than 6 miles. The guy runs it and he wins his division. This kid gets up on the podium and they interview him.
It's a microphone for everybody. It's just at Nikki Beach in South Beach where it ended.
They interview him and he's like, I owe this all to my perseverance, my dedication, and I don't know what. And we're looking at him and we're like,
what about us? This way.
Turd. I was like,
he thanked everybody in the universe except us.
And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
I wanted to disown him at that point. I would have.
My son does the same thing. He like whenever he gets something, he gives his mom these long paragraphs. He goes, I want to thank my dad. And I go, that's it? That's it? I go, that's really it, huh? He goes, yeah, I'm like, first of all,
you got no love, brother.
Yeah, no love at all, man. No love at all.
See, Mother's Day
is huge. Father's Day is like an afterthought, and then you wind up cooking for yourself on Father's Day. Exactly. You're grilling for yourself. I mean, what is this?
Because you like it.
Yeah, no, not on that day. It'd be nice for somebody to freaking cook for me on Father's Day.
Exactly. No. Nope, not happening. Yeah, not happening. And that's the thing. Like now, like, and the worst part is my dad, he puts the battery in my son's back. He's his biggest hype man. He tells him all the time, "Oh, you're gonna crush your dad. Your dad got nothing on you." He goes, look at you. He goes, I in high school I wrestled, and so he went and he wrestled, and he thought because he was big, he was tall for his age that he was gonna go in there and do something. And I said, and he lost his first three matches by the same move, and I tore into him. And my dad goes, leave him alone. I go, listen, when I was your age as a freshman, I went 22-4 as a freshman. And he go, but you play sports all your life. I go, doesn't matter. I thought you were supposed to be better than me. So that's the one thing I have over him right now. Is in wrestling, like I'm like, yeah. So what happened? You're supposed to be. So my son is named after me. So it's my dad. He's senior, I'm junior, and he's the third.
That's cool.
So he calls himself 3.0.
I like that.
Nice.
So he calls himself 3.0, and he goes, "Oh, I'm the greatest version of innocent." Yeah, he goes,
3.0. Yeah, that would make sense.
He goes, I'm the greatest version of, and my dad goes,
cool
what? He got it. He is. He's taller than us.
Isn't that what you want? You want him to be faster, stronger, smarter, more successful, everything, man.
Exactly. But
so I never had an issue. You asked me about the running thing. I never had an issue. As passionate as I am about it, as competitive, we never had an issue with neither of our kids being better.
Always knew he was going to be better than me
and more successful. I have no issues with that.
The only thing I have over him right now is.
But I'm still competitive.
Yeah.
I want to kick his ass.
Yeah.
But if I lose him, I don't have a problem with it.
Like, I'm still strong. Like in the gym, I can still put up better numbers than he can for now. You know, once he gets like 17, 18, he's gonna be like destroying any number that I put up. And he's like, "Don't worry, I'm coming for you. Don't worry, I'm coming for you. Don't worry, I'm coming for you."
That's cool though. That's healthy.
It's listen, it's healthy and it keeps you on your toes. Like one of my best friends, he always goes, and every time he sees him, he goes, the young wolf is gonna get you. The young wolf is gonna get you. I go,
3.0 is coming.
3.0 is coming.
3.0, yes, he is. Yeah, and he is. He is.
I love it. I think that's great. I think that's very healthy.
Luckily, like, and my youngest son, he's probably the best athlete out of both of us. But he doesn't play any sports. But I can just tell by the way he runs. You know, you can just see it. Like when he runs, he's fast. His technique is good. And I'm like, your brother's a better athlete than you. No, he's not. I'm like, okay. Once I get him in the sports, you're gonna see like he's gonna be the best out of all of us. He goes, well, we'll see about that. We'll see.
Yeah, of course. Keep him on edge a little bit.
Oh, we have to. You know, but that's the best thing. And you know, like for me, my best moments, at least for me, was the first time I had a cigar with my dad. Like he came up to New York, and I'm like, all right, we're going to the cigar lounge, and he sat there, and he'll only smoke about this much of a cigar. So
Okay.
he'll smoke about that much of it. He won't, about that much right there. You know, he won't finish it. And one guy came up to me and was like, "Man, I wish I could have had a cigar with my dad." You know, it's
a lot, right?
It's those moments, you know, where you sit down and your passion you're able to show his passion, you know. So it's pretty cool. We have a guest, Albert. Oh, there he is. Oh, wait,
well, it says Albert. I can't see Albert yet.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, we can't see you, Albert.
I can see you.
Oh,
that's all that matters, Albert.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, we'll start video.
Listen, I got dragged into this, so you
know. Yeah, she did. Yeah,
I hear you.
I called her over.
We adapt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the video to go.
Uh-oh.
Technology, right?
You know what? It would be an effort to do something like this.
Right. Well, I had to go through like the 7 stages of Zoom install. Right?
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was. I had to do the old update.
Uh-oh.
Well, Denise handled that. I could have never done this on my own.
Through all of that, the install and everything, because I hadn't used it.
Normally, had I had a brain, I would have remembered, and I would have been working on getting the Zoom 7 hours.
Yes.
Oh, terrified. Thank God, you know, she was here.
It's all right. It's all right, Albert. You guys, we all gotta see you. We all gotta see you.
We don't have to see you, Albert. We can hear you, brother.
Man, it's good seeing y'all.
You as well. At least your name is beautiful.
Your name looks great.
You got my voice. Yeah. We're wrapping up school, man. So it's like, man, 2 days left. 2 days. How long do y'all have?
You're a teacher, yeah?
Mm-hmm. I am. Middle school teacher.
My wife's a middle school teacher as well.
I know. So, yeah.
She's got 2 weeks left, I believe. 2 weeks, right?
I have 2 weeks left.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. Yeah. We're down to 2 days. 2 days.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Good for you, man.
Feeling good.
So what have y'all been talking about, Innocent?
Anything. I got the Cuevas here. If you want to ask a question, Albert, you know.
We've covered every subject under the sun.
Yeah.
I think. Just about.
You know, so I was like, you know, do you guys have time for questions for anybody from the Legion to come on and ask a couple questions?
We do. And by the way, Albert, are you making it over here in September?
Absolutely. James, my brother James is coming as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, my friend.
We're gonna be there.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. I got to stock up on some Casa Cuevas, man.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
So how y'all doing coming out of this pandemic years and all that stuff? There's talk about industry shrinking a little bit or something, or not the industry, but
the industry,
slowing
I
down.
think it took a hit. I think this year, it seems to have slowed down. Innocent and I were talking about it, where the consumer that would buy, let's say, a $20 cigar is buying two $8 cigars and saving four. So I think the economy is kind of taking its toll a little bit. Unlike cigarettes, as you know, cigars are not this need to smoke. I mean, in other lives that I've had workmates where it's pouring rain and they got to go outside and they open up an umbrella and it's a monsoon and they got to have their cigarette. Or cigars are not the same. So because it's not addictive like that, people now can pick and choose a little bit. So things have slowed down a little bit. People are smoking, just not smoking as much or spending as much. And listen, I'm speaking to a consumer, but this is me from what I've gathered nationwide, not every state, but a lot of states where I'm talking to cigar shop owners and they're saying, yeah, people are slowing down a little bit, slowing down a little bit, slowing down a little bit. They're still smoking, just not as much. They're a little more reluctant to buy, a box. Now they're going to buy 5 cigars, that kind of thing, because your grocery bills are what they are, and gas is what it is, and life is what it is. And so,
you got to make choices. You got to make choices on it.
You got to make choices. You got to make choices.
I wonder if the amount of time that people were able to spend as well, I think can be a factor a little bit too. I wonder. Yeah.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought of, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. The time is a little bit more limited now. But it's moving along and people will continue to smoke. It's still very much a thing. And if you like cigars, it's hard to give them up, right? It's hard to walk away from this if you've enjoyed this for any period of time. So, I mean, that helps us. And in the end, it's still such a cool thing. I mean, my son and I talk about this all the time, where we'll walk into a shop and we won't know the people. We're in state X, city Y.
Right.
And they don't know me either. We're sitting around, we're smoking. And then people get up and they leave. And then the shop owner tells you, by the way, that guy you were next to was a millionaire, or the other guy washes dishes, or the other guy is a student, or the other guy is retired, or whatever, or the girl for that matter. And it's something that brings people together unlike any other thing. At a bar, I don't talk to the guy next to me. But at a cigar shop, if you're sitting next to me, you're going to engage in conversation.
Oh yeah, you're going to be there. You're going to be there for at least an hour. So you might
absolutely, and it's so bloody cool. I think it's amazing.
I think that the icebreaker when it comes to being in a cigar shop is always, so what you smoking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What, and is that something you normally smoke? And then you get an idea of and then it becomes all about the tobacco.
It does, and it just becomes a conversation piece. And if the guy next to you is smoking a house stick, we talked about house sticks earlier, you and I, and my wife, right? And you're smoking a $30, name it, the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the Great Equalizer, take off the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm not upstaging you. I'm not making you feel bad.
The way it used to be.
Yep.
It used to be.
That's what I heard.
You used to go on cigar shops and people didn't have the bands on. It wasn't about that.
And it wasn't about that. And all of a sudden, I'm smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
You're smoking a $3 stick. I'm smoking a $10 stick, or 20 or 30. It doesn't matter.
It's what you all have in common.
It's very cool.
And here's the funny thing. So one thing that I also learned is women have much better palates than men do.
Oh, really? You just learned?
Yes. Oh, damn. Oh, okay. Sorry.
She'll get feisty. She'll get feisty. She'll get feisty. I don't know.
But like it's funny because like they go, oh well, like certain palates that certain notes that you pick up, a woman would be like, oh well, I taste this, and this. You go, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest. I know there's a lot of reviews that say I taste this, I taste that. When I smoke a cigar, I taste tobacco. Okay, so yes, you can get some florals in there, but that's specific, type of flavor. There's very few cigars that you get those,
But the thing is, the point he's making is you get it, whereas it's lost on me, and I don't even pretend to go there. People go, do you taste? And
me as well.
And then,
it's not,
but you do get a lot of it because you talk to Christine, and you're tasting all sorts of different flavors.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, after they talk about it, then I take another puff and go, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. And I don't know if it's subliminal.
It absolutely is.
But I'm going, what the heck?
It's a selling point when you have, I mean, you've gone to like tastings or so. Oh, do you taste this? Or do you, and you kind of psyched yourself to think, yeah, I did taste that. Or, with certain things. We've gone to several, tastings for whatever type of alcohol it says. I want you to do this, and I want you to swoosh it around here, and I want you to do it under here, and then you're gonna taste this, and then you start actually believing that you're gonna have like peanut butter and some bourbon there, or something like that, so I guess it could be subliminal.
It's a little subliminal, but sometimes you search for the taste and it's there.
Yeah.
And Innocent is right. I mean, you do get more from women than you do from men. You do.
We're just more expressive, I think.
I think you're more in tune with it. I really do. I got to give you props.
Yeah, like
I went to like a beer tasting one time, a beer pairing kind of a deal. It was at SeaWorld, and they had like a little deal, and I was like, I'm gonna go do something where I don't have to look at these fish or whatever. And so anyway, so it was like they had this land shark. It was I think it was an Anheuser-Busch thing. So putting all the politics aside, this was years ago. And they did like some cheese and then this land shark beer, and it was good, man. I was like, man, this is pretty good. This is tasty, right? I go home, I tried to reproduce it, fell flat.
Happened.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Sometimes it's a moment too, right? Like
yeah.
And in the moment, obviously, has a lot to do with cigars as well.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I'll smoke a cigar, and it's amazing because the moment is right. I'm with my friends at a good place, or my family, or whomever, and I'm not talking about my cigars. I'm talking other brands, and you're going, "Wow, this is amazing." And then you do it again, and you're going, "Hey, not quite as good."
That's one thing that we didn't speak about. What other brands do you smoke besides just Casa Cuevas?
I smoke brands where I know the people behind it, or I know the reps behind it. So, the Oliva rep in Miami, Albie is a dear friend.
He's awesome.
I buy Olivas because I'm friends with Albie. Espinosa, I'm friends with Eric, and I'm friends with Eric Jr., and I'm friends with Jack Tarano. I buy Espinosa because
I like
friends
a lot.
So I'll buy, let's say, let me think of one that's somebody I'm really tight with, Villiger. So Rene Castaneda. I like Rene a lot. We're friends. I go to his office. He comes to mine. We smoke, this and the other. I'll buy that. So I wind up supporting friends of mine because they're there. But I'll be honest with you, and I used to not say this a few years ago, and I'm going to say it now. Our cigars are as good as anybody else's out there. I can't imagine my smoking something and saying, Jesus, I wish I could make this, because I think we're okay. I think we're doing just fine. Yeah. They're not better. They're just as good.
Right.
However, that's why I kind of revert to smoking things where I know the people. Joaquin, who's a dear friend, and he represents my father's cigars here in South Florida. I'll buy my father because of Joaquin. I don't know Pepin, Don Pepin, I don't know him, but I know Joaquin, and Joaquin's the face here in South Florida. So I wind up buying his cigars. Now, every brand I've mentioned are great cigars. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, oh my God, I'm going to bite the bullet and smoke this crap because I like Innocent. No, I'm smoking Innocent cigars because Innocent cigars are great bloody cigars. And I know Innocent. Plus.
Yeah.
So my question, because, while we're down there, we're all supposed to be meeting Ernie. And honestly, that's one person I really want to meet just because of the fact of he's been in the game for so long.
And La Gloria Cubana, you're way too young, but La Gloria Cubana in the 90s, before he sold it to General, right? Now I'm not going to speak to it. It is what it is. Was probably one of the best cigars I've ever smoked in my life. The original Gloria Cubana, before he sold it to General. And I'm not saying General did a bad job with it. It's not the same cigar. It's not. Wow. So yeah, that dude has been in the game for a long time. And what he did in the 90s with La Gloria Cubana, no one had done. And I don't know what he put in there, the crack that he put in it, but wow. You know, and I wish I had those cigars. I wish I had enough. So when you guys come to my home, I could give you some, which has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I'd be proud to give you those cigars and go taste something that's just incredible. It was incredible. La Gloria Cubana, the original one that this guy made, off the chain.
You know, the thing is too is like, you know, when we speak of you know, I would call them, you know, like at least like grandfathers of cigars, because they were there in the early days, and you know, they've forgotten more than you know
we'll ever know. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like they've forgotten more stuff than we'll ever know, and you know, just be able to sit down and talk to him just about, you know, what was your mindset back in those days when you were blending cigars? Like,
and by the way, that's the question, right? What was he thinking in the 90s?
Yeah.
Now it's evolved, and it's a different entity and it's a much bigger entity. But in the 90s, when he was doing what he was doing, I'd love, and I haven't had this conversation with him. And if you'd asked that on a podcast, I'd love for you to ask, hey, what the hell were you thinking to create something so unique?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I don't know what was in it, but I do remember it fondly. It was a great cigar. There was no S chip. There was no user fees. It was priced just right. I don't remember the price, but I remember it was very affordable. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, man, it stuck. Well, to this day, it sticks in it. Yeah. It was phenomenal cigar. Phenomenal cigar.
And you know, and even now, you know, with the illusion that he just made, you know, you can tell that it has Ernie's footprint on it, just with Oliva tobacco. You know,
and he takes a lot of pride in it, and obviously it's got his name on it, right? So he's going to want to make it as good as he can. And I was told about that cigar today by one of the shops I visited today, and I'm going to buy some tomorrow because I want to taste it. It's hard to think back on something I smoked 30 plus years ago and compare it to that original one. And I can't tell you right now what La Gloria Cubana tasted like specifically back then. But I do remember that in a world full of really bad cigars in the 90s, which they were really bad, this one stood out. This dude and his blend stood out. Yeah. It stood out.
All right. So that touches on, I have a couple questions around that.
Go for it.
First, I remember seeing people smoke cigars in the 80s. And I swear to God, there are those White Owls or Perfectos and these machine rolled bull craps, right? I don't, you know, now, I mean, you know, obviously I'm a teenager at that time, right? And so I'm not you know, I probably wasn't aware or tuned into it. But I'm just curious, do you happen to know how many people were smoking premium cigars that we're smoking now? Were there a lot more of the Perfectos sort of being consumed on average, that kind of a thing?
That's a good question, and I'll give you this. Maybe it will answer it, and I'll elaborate a little bit. But consider that in the 80s, Padron, which is really the benchmark for everybody, right? Padron has no salespeople. Everything's in-house. They got to vet you before they sell to you, on and on. Okay.
Wow.
Padron was being sold in Cuban cafeterias where you would stop to get a pastry and a little Cuban cup of coffee in the 80s.
Oh.
That was Padron back then.
That's insane.
Isn't it though?
So kind of consider that. So the benchmark back then was really Macanudo, was
Yeah.
the number one cigar, Jamaican cigar of all things,
Yeah.
right? But they were number one. And then you dropped off to the Cubans, and then the Cubans actually at that point were very, very good. And actually, if you could get the real ones, if somebody came from Europe with them or whatever, or Canada, or the rest of the world except us, right? The only embargo is us. You were smoking a really, really quality stick. None of them were overpowering. None of them were very strong, but Fuentes was just okay. They were all very, very affordable, very affordable. No one was smoking anything in the 10, 20, 30, $40 range like we are now. Cigars were a couple of bucks, literally a couple of bucks. And Padrones you would buy at a cafeteria for $1.50, $2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. And they've never changed. It's the same damn cigars that back then that they have now.
It was like having a bundle cigar at a
It was
coffee.
It was nothing. Tarano was doing
Yeah.
some different things. That's when, well, that's already the 90s when Tarano, but in the 80s, no one was smoking anything crazy.
I mean, I remember in the 90s is when I first started smoking. My father-in-law got me involved in it, and it was Macanudo. It was his favorite. I remember smoking a Hoyo de Monterey Excalibur.
Yeah.
And big old. And I think it was a Maduro. It was, and I remember smoking that. I remember looking at the JR Cigar magazine, and a lot of that stuff was short filler, right? They were just kind of, it was the JR version of this cigar, blah blah blah, or the sampler packs. And I think I bought one box of the samplers, and I just got turned off by it. Didn't really worry about it too much, but yeah, I remember the Arturo Fuente 858 and all that kind of, those. That was still those, but they were definitely up there, like $4 or $5. Well, what even that really, about $3 or $4 a stick versus, a couple dollars. And he even said that if you can find a $2 cigar that's good, you've got something. Like you've really got a good deal.
Damn it, Albert. That's part of my frustration, right? And when we've gone, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When we've gone to wine tastings, so we'll go to a wine tasting, and it's not just one wine. Let's say we used to go to these wine tastings where it was $50 buy-in. They gave you food, and they had 73 stations between wine and spirits, right? So for $50, you would spend $50 to walk in per person. But then the liquor store that was sponsoring, it's called Leon's. It's close to here. Leon's would give you $25 back in vouchers so you could buy at their shop. Store. So literally you're spending $25 a person.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What Denise and I, it was a great deal. What Denise and I would do is we'd go around and we'd take notes. And yes, they had the high-end $100, $75, $200 bottles of wine. No, my hunt was to find that $12, $15 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
That was just as palatable as that $70 bottle of Camus or $100 bottle of Camus at an affordable price.
Right.
Cigar smokers, for whatever reason, some of them anyway, not all of them, a lot of them, they go by price.
Yeah.
I go, dude, look for value. Value, not price. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Right.
And it's a weird thing, but you're absolutely right. It wasn't a matter of $2 cigar. Your dad's my father says that the best cigar in the world is the one you like the best, whether it costs you $1 or $50. Right. It doesn't matter. Right. It's the one you like the best, and he's right.
And like we were saying earlier, it's also at the time where people didn't have labels.
Yeah.
Back then. It didn't matter how much they spent on a cigar. It was you had a cigar, and that was what everyone had in common. So the actual cordial thing was to take off
the band.
Yeah.
When you were in cigar lounges.
Right.
You could take off the band, leave the band, and just smoke your cigar.
So
it didn't matter what price you paid for the cigar.
Exactly. So you don't wind up maybe shaming the guy next to you who can't afford.
Now it's all about,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of, label thing. Although in a place, in a position like mine, if you're sitting next to Innocent and you ask Innocent, what are you smoking? And he says, a Casa Cuevas. And he goes, I've never smoked it. It helps me.
Sure.
Right? Because now he may give you one, or you go inside the humidor and you buy one, and you never experienced it before, and you go, it's a good cigar. I like this cigar. I like it a lot. And it opens up those doors. Back then,
it helps
far between.
It helps that the cigar band looks good too.
Yeah, it does help. That helps a little bit. That helps a little bit. And if you like the people behind it, we were talking about that earlier. It helps a little bit to move the needle, right? Because in the end, we were talking earlier as well. There's a lot of really good cigars out there, and I think when you're talking high end cigars, there's very little differentiation at that level, right? It's like having these athletes at the very very high end, and they're both almost the same, and so you're at this point going by personality and if you like the people, you like the people behind it, if they're passionate. Is it a faceless entity behind a brand, which I think is what happens to people like General or whatever. No one owns those brands anymore. The Macanudos of the world, the not the Fuentes, forgive me, the EP Carrillo, Gloria Cubana. Now it's owned by a huge entity. It's no longer owned by Nestico Carrillo and his family. Right. And I think that takes away some of the romance from it.
No, I think and this is my only problem with General. If you didn't know any better, you think that company is the same company in Cuba. You think that Cohiba Red Dot is still made by Cohiba, but it's
your average consumer. Yeah, I agree with that.
Your average consumer still thinks that they're the same company.
And that's such a mistake. And by the way, obviously, the General cigars that are Cohiba will say Dominican Republic on it, but the consumer will overlook that and look at the brand on it. Yeah,
because they think Dominican Republic is in Cuba.
No, well, it's not.
Yeah. But, yeah, they're both islands, so they might as well be the same.
It's not that. What they'll think is Cohiba just they have a separate island. They have a separate factory just for the U.S.
Yeah.
So they'll think that it's another island. It's another island. I mean it's Cohiba, Cuba, but since they can't bring it to the U.S., they'll just make their stuff in DR and ship it over here.
And that's not the same. And by the way, I mean, Cuban cigars, what I smoked in the 90s is not even close to what I'm smoking now. And we were just in London. Yep. So, I mean, we go to tobacconists that are legit tobacconists, because over here in Miami, everybody's going to bring you a fake box of Bejiques and this and the other. It's nonsense. It may be a Cuban cigar, but it wasn't made at the Bejique factory, right? Mm-hmm. People lose sight of the fact that Cuban cigars have gone like this in terms of quality. Right. They just have. Well, and Cuba can't keep up, right? It can't keep up. I mean, again, going back to what I just said, the embargo is the United States. Mm-hmm. But Cuba sells to all of Asia, and China is buying huge.
Yeah.
They sell to Canada. They sell to Mexico, Central, and South America. They sell to Europe. They sell to Australia. They sell everywhere else but here. So they just simply cannot keep up, which is why it's opening up opportunities for New World cigars like myself and other brands to expand into territories that were previously completely consumed by Cuban cigars.
So one thing
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. A couple of guys from my shop, these got out from Cuba. They said a cigar was $90.
Yeah. Oh, a Bejique?
Yeah.
Google it when now or whenever you guys want to. A Bejique is $4.50 a stick, not a box.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A stick.
Well, I'll say this: in Europe, my brother is in Germany, and he's saying that. I mean, in fact, when I was there a couple of years ago, we went in. You know, they had two different humidors in the shop, and there was a Cuban humidor and then New World stuff. And the Cuban stuff was like sparse, very sparse, not very much. And the guy was complaining that he couldn't get any. They could not import them, so they're running low, and they've also jacked prices up a bit as well.
No,
so.
China bought everything up, and that's what's happening. And as a result, the prices, what Cuba has done is, I can't supply you with my goods. I'm going to jack up the price 3-4 times what it used to be. So you can't afford it, meaning the shop owner or the consumer. I don't have to worry about supplying. I'm going to supply China, which is willing to pay that money.
Yeah.
and they're moving everything over to China. What that has done is it's opened up opportunities for brands like myself, a Dominican brand, Honduras, Nicaragua, Ecuador, et cetera, and now we're making our way into these markets because the consumer's going, I don't want to spend $90 on a cigar.
Well,
you know,
I'll tell you, while I was there, and while I was there, I remember there were several people that came in the shop while we were smoking, and they were going straight up to the upstairs where the New World stuff was. So yeah, and that was packed. By the way, they had tons of cigars.
You know, like so.
Yeah, I mean, it's opening up a market for us, and Cuba doesn't give a crap because they're selling what they were selling anyway, except they're selling it to China. One market, that's fine. God bless them, I guess.
Yeah,
but it opens up opportunities for people like myself to be in Switzerland, which we are now, for example, or Germany, or the UK, etc.
No, like so apparently now, damn it, I'm at the edit. Well, you know what? He's not gonna see this. So apparently, from what I'm hearing, that Cuba is now using Nicaraguan tobacco to substitute for.
I've heard that, and I've heard that before. I've heard that, and they're using wrapper from other countries as well. Listen, I mean, I asked about the embargo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying because they can't keep up with it, and also too the fertilizer, the agriculture is shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only crap. On top of which, let's be clear here. I bust my butt. You bust your butt.
Yeah.
Albert busts his butt. Because the harder we work, the more we gain.
Yeah.
Whether it's a promotion in a job, whatever it may be, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you can't. You're out. You lose it, right? Cuba is based on everybody getting the same.
Yeah.
So if I'm a grower or I have a factory and I'm going to get paid the same wages as the next guy next to me who's not pulling his own weight, I'm going to slack. Yeah. Why would I sit there and work extra hard when you aren't doing a damn thing and we're both getting paid the same? Exactly. It doesn't work. That equality thing where we're all going to be the same and you have certain skills and it doesn't matter if you're better at this than I am, we're all going to get paid the same. It doesn't work. It doesn't motivate people. You get motivated because the harder and the more you push, the better the outcome is. Now, there's exceptions, but for the most part, we work hard because the harder you work, the more you gain. But if all of a sudden all I can do is sit on my house and not move, not lift a finger, and I'm going to get as much money as another brand where they're sitting there busting their butts, why would I bust my butt? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to watch Ellen DeGeneres during the daytime and Jerry Springer before he died also, whatever the hell it may be. I'm not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
It doesn't work. And that's what's happening in Cuba. That's been happening for years. And eventually it takes its toll. Everything's crap. Everything's crap. There's no motivation. Why would I work hard if the harder I work, the government going to get its cut and I'm going to get paid the same as the guy who's not doing a damn thing? No. Yeah. And that's Cuba, guys. That's a reality. It doesn't work. Communism is really, and I'm getting political here, but whatever, it's communism. Nobody agrees with communism. Exactly. Communism works well on paper. In theory. We're all the same. It's all equal. We all get a roof over our heads, live in the same homes, drive the same cars, eat the same food, same vacation. It doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't allow you that. Human beings are motivated by drive and ambition. And there's nothing wrong.
Yeah. Healthy competition too.
Exactly.
Healthy competition is healthy. Yeah. All right. My other question the other question was that Ligori Cabana cigar that you smoked, 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
Yep.
All right. Did you say you had some or you wish?
Oh gosh, no, I don't have any. I wish.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Let's say you had one. There's one in your humidor right now.
Okay.
And you go and you smoke it. What's that going to taste like? Is it going to retain what it had back then? And this has been a conversation recently. Is what is the cutoff for a cigar? Like
that is a good question, right? So I think, in my humble opinion, and I think my dad would speak better to this, in about a decade, you are pretty much at the end of it all. I mean, it's gonna empty out. My dad had the privilege, and this is more than a decade, obviously. My dad had the privilege of going to Fox's, which is the oldest tobacconist in the world. It's in London. So he goes there on business. We were making Dunhill cigars. We weren't. My father was at the time. And he was given a true pre-embargo Cuban.
Right.
Right. My father goes, it was so cool because I knew it was a real deal. And it's, by the way, this is not where you go in and the humidor is. You have to go down to this basement, and they've got at the bottom letters from Winston Churchill, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really cool setting. Okay.
Right.
My dad goes, it was really neat. I really enjoyed the experience, but I was smoking air because the cigar was 50 years old. And it won't hold up that long.
Oh, was that the place in London?
Yeah, in London.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. No, I can't lie. I want to go to that place so bad.
That place is cool as hell. We've been, not to buy that or tell them anybody, hey, by the way, you took my dad downstairs. But you know what's cool? Typical of cigar lounges. We went there as nothing more than patrons.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there with Jack Tarano and Ceci Tarano, I remember, as a matter of fact. And Jack, as you know, is a sales director, national sales director for Espinosa. So we go upstairs and we bought cigars and we smoked cigars. And here we are with all these young people, much younger than we were. They were all bankers and lawyers and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's wearing a suit except us. Fine. Sure as hell. Conversations strike up. So, where are you guys from? Obviously the States. Blah, blah, blah. No. There was this bonding that only this can do. And we didn't talk about the fact that I had a brand, or Jack works for a brand, or the brand that we have, or here's one of my cigars. None of that happened. We just talked about life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so refreshing and so cool. And I can't think of anywhere else or any other industry that brings you that. So Fox's, you should go check out. You're going to feel right at home. You go up. We went up. Yeah, we went up. The humidor was downstairs. We went up. We sat down. The lounge is pretty big. Yep, it was super. We sat down, and trust me, either of you two gentlemen, they will engage you in conversation. And it's just a cigar smoker saying, hey, you're from the States. Where are you visiting us from?
Mm-hmm.
How long are you going to be in London? Blah, blah, blah. How are you enjoying London?
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of podcasts that him and his father were on. And the father considers himself like a real aristocrat.
Well, they are who they are, right?
You know? So he has on all the rings, you know, and he talks very proper, you know.
British, right?
Yeah, you know, he talks very proper, and you know, and they're very polite. And you know, like, but you know, they always say, yeah, when we get Cubans in, we have to sit them for 3 years before we can even touch them. And that's one thing about Cubans. You can never smoke them right away.
You're not lying.
And to me, that's a problem. If I buy a box of cigars, I want to be able to take them out the box. Same, like, you know, I want to be able to take them out the box. Boom, like right up. I don't want to have to wait and age a cigar because you guys didn't age it.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. Because it's like, all right, well, it's really kind of a waste of money. But also too, those oils and all that other stuff, you know, it really doesn't make sense, you know. So, you know, the shop that I go to, Albert, don't you say nothing, Albert.
I ain't saying nothing, buddy.
All right. Hey, Albert, if you go to the camera and you hit the icon, that little arrow,
and
you hit up, your camera settings might be on your laptop camera, and it's blocked. So you might have to turn on the one that you normally use, like manually. There you go.
Yeah, the problem is it's my dumb.
Albert, I know you. How are you, Albert?
Yeah,
I know you.
Yeah.
This FaceTime camera is what I'm gonna use. So we'll do that.
Yeah. So you know, like, I want to be able to smoke my cigars right away. Like, I couldn't wait to get home. Like when I get cigars, I want to be able just to go first day, bam, and then sit the other ones. But right then, once I get them, I want to try one, and then let the other one sit.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there and wait 3 years to smoke a cigar.
Exactly.
What is that?
The most I want to wait is 2 weeks.
You may not be around for 3 years.
Exactly.
You know, a lot happens, right?
Yeah, then you only got 7 more years like to sit on it.
Yeah.
Boys, I hate to do this to you guys because it'll be 10 o'clock. We have to have dinner.
Yeah.
We've been on for 3 hours.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I am so grateful that you came on and gave me this time. You know,
I'm grateful they even thought of us. Thank you. We're a no brand. Thank you.
Oh no, Plug, come on, like
y'all come up like weekly. In our group.
Yeah, all the time. Like we are like Cuevas to us is the brand. You know, like we want you guys, and I tell people all the time, I need to get you guys in the Northeast. I don't know how, I don't know, but I need to get you guys up here.
I'd love to be there, man. It's a challenge.
You know, I don't know how to. I'm learning how to kind of. Sandra's teaching me how to broker stuff, and you know, just teach me about the business. So, you know, after I learn, like I want to be able to get you guys up here in Jersey.
Thank you, Jersey girl right here.
Where from?
I was born in Newark.
Oh, hey! That's where I live. I live in Newark.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah.
But I actually we moved to Passaic, and I lived most of my childhood in Passaic.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Passaic. Yeah. Passaic has a lot of Peruvians in yeah. But man, so one guy that goes to the cigar shop, he's an art teacher at Passaic High School. And his mom was the art teacher at Passaic High School.
Oh, that's so
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so like I think I know his
I didn't get to high school.
I
got up to middle school, and then we moved over here to Florida.
Okay.
It sounded like you never went to high school. You realize that?
No, I didn't get
I
to
never
high
got
school
to high school
there.
Yeah.
I got pregnant.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this podcast. It's amazing.
We had a great time.
This is one of the most laid back podcasts I've ever done.
Time.
There you go.
Listen, that's how I want to make you guys feel. Like you guys, like you know, you guys are family now.
Thank you for pulling me in. I would have sat there.
No, Denise, no. I was waiting for the moment to get you in. Don't worry, I was gonna find a way to get you in.
But I'll say this.
And I was happy to see Albert's face because I recognize Albert.
Yeah. We spent some good time talking. All of us.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah. Albert, thanks for coming on, dude.
I'll have another riddle for you, but I just want to say something about y'all's food situation, right?
Oh, we spoke about that.
If you're wanting to eat dinner, the best thing to do is to have Denise order the McDonald's because that was the best. That was the most awesome meal in the world. Was that McDonald's?
That was a brand.
It was perfect. Yes. It hit the spot. So
that was awesome. That was awesome.
Listen, I just wanted to make everyone happy.
By the way, Albert, you have to identify yourself as Albert the Riddle guy, and I would have gotten you right away. Not just
Absolutely. I'm known for dad jokes, so I'm the dad joke.
Literally the dad joke king. Yeah,
very cool.
But guys, you guys know the routine already. Once again, you guys look up, go online, look up Cuevas Cigars, support the brand, guys, and also tell a friend to tell a friend. Big Guilty Cigars. We out of here. Peace.